Okay, we are recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Milsurp World Podcast. This is Aaron, and today we're going to be doing something different. But before we do that, I am joined here by Danny, Jared, and Taylor. Say hello, everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Taylor is new to the podcast, so in traditional fashion, Taylor, why don't you tell us about how you came into the world of Milsurps?
Hey guys, glad to be a part of this. How I came into the world of Milsurp is kind of like a lot of other people. First Milsurp I ever got was a Chinese SKS. It kind of really opened my eyes to a lot of world history. I wasn't really taught in school. I didn't know much about, World War II, let's just say, other than kind of what they taught us in history class. So when I started really digging into the history of China and its arms productions and all the conflicts and wars, I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. And then from there, I really liked a lot of Cold War, post-war type stuff, and then it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Similar to how everybody starts. Really, just starts with one, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And then after that, I got really into Mosins.
Ugh,
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I liked a lot of the Cold War Soviet stuff, and at the time they were really affordable. And I was in my early 20s. I didn't have a lot of money.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
That's why I got into M95s, because they're cheap.
Right. I didn't get into them because they're mechanically superior or anything. I just liked them because they were an affordable piece of history that had a lot of variations, and a lot of countries used them, and they were used throughout all periods of modern conflict, basically. And from there, it kind of got more into the semi-autos, the AKs and other things. And then, but now I try to focus more so like World War II. I think the last firearms I actually bought were some M1 Garands from the CMP. So
Actually, that could segue us into our. Well, first off, thank you for coming on.
yeah, of course.
And that can actually segue us into speaking of recent acquisitions. Does anybody have any recent acquisitions? Danny?
Oh, yeah, that was bad. Yeah, Tulsa was pretty amazing. But first, I was going to mention that yeah, our guest has a podcast.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Just want to say the name of it real quick.
Yes, I do. It's called the New York Gun Guys podcast. Me and one of my good friends, John, we're just basically two guys that talk about gun ownership in New York State and all the politics, laws, and BS that kind of comes along with it. We talk a lot about just ranting about laws and stuff that's being passed. We give updates on current legislation, laws they're trying to pass, and just just two guys just talking and shooting the shit a lot of time.
Yeah, we do that a lot here.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
You say you're from New York? I couldn't tell.
I know. I stick out like a sore thumb, but yeah, just hence the name New York Gun Guys. So we're on pretty much anywhere you could find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean. We have an Instagram and Facebook, just all one word, New York, NY Gun Guys. So that's where we
Nice.
are. Thanks for letting me give the shout out on that.
Of course.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you are you're a Patreon member. I think for a long time you've been on there, and that's so you're on the list. You were the next on the list.
Cool.
So that's we invite our guests onto the podcast here. I don't know of any other podcasts that let Patreon people on, but I like it. I like having new guys on, and everyone's been really cool. Like it's been pretty fun.
It's a really cool perk, and the Discord that you get access to as a patron member is amazing. Like we were just kind of talking about before we started recording. Really great group of guys, really great information. And if anyone listening isn't a patron member, I highly suggest you become one.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Yeah. I am proud of you guys. It's really all of you Patreon people are so cool. Honestly, it's very nice. Because like the gun interactions, on like Facebook or whatever, like you get some characters, but everyone in here is actually really, really cool. So, so I guess getting into what I got at Tulsa. So first off, this was my first spring Tulsa show. So they have them in the fall, like in November. It's pretty close to winter. In November and then April, and this was my first April show. And I heard that the April one was better, and to me, it definitely was. First off, this was the deal everybody was talking about. I get to the show on Friday because I go there with Joel from Panzerfaust Armory. He sells Milsurps on his website, Panzerfaust Armory. So a shout out to him. But
free plug. There you go, Danny. Works out.
I mean, he's a cool guy. He sells Milsurps. I'm sure everyone, wants more websites where they can find them. And so he got me a dealer badge, and so I get to go on Friday because it's closed to the general public on Friday. And so the parking lot's full, and I park. And I parked like 4 cars down from these couple of guys. And as I'm walking by, I'm carrying some guns in, and they have a Mauser. I say, look, K98K on top of the car. And as I'm walking, I just say, hey, nice Mauser. And the guy goes, hey, thanks. Do you know anything about it? So I immediately I perk up. I'm like, oh,
Nope.
yeah. Well, let me take a look. So I look it over, and I just tell him. So it's a complete. It's a DOU 42 K98K. And I'm looking it over. I'm looking at all the numbers, and every single number that I see on the gun matches. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is actually really nice. But the only thing is, it's covered in like surface rust, and the stock was really dry, so it had the look of like it sat in an attic, in Oklahoma for who knows how long it takes to dry out like a wood stock, But that's sort of the look that it had. And he's like, well, how much would you want for it? And I said, honestly, because of the condition and everything, I would probably pay 8. I said, but if you took it into the show, you could get a lot more. You carry it around there for a while, and people will offer you more money. And he goes, no, I don't want to carry it around in there or anything. And he's like, would you do $700? Would you buy it for $700? Which I immediately was like, yes, of course I would, because I just said I would pay 8. But yeah, so I bought it for $700. And
for people that like myself that were ignorant, what is the significance of the production code, Danny?
Oh, I didn't know this at the time, honestly. Or I probably would have offered more, but it's the only in relative terms, like 95,000 were made that year. But it's not a very common code. For some reason, there's just not that many. Like 41, 42 coded K98Ks tend to be a little bit more like rare and sought after and go for more money. But so it's I didn't really realize quite like what it was, but I carried it into the show when I was walking around, and guys were being like, hey, I'll double your money, I'll double your,
Wow.
So I was like, okay, if you want to ease it, like they'll quickly buy it for double what I paid. So then to me, that like give me a little estimation of probably more what it's worth. But that was my the big score before I even got into the show. But okay, yeah, sorry, that took a long time. I'll run down the list. I got a Chilean 1935. I got another one that's all matching. I got a Hungarian model of 1934, which is super cool. It looks super
rare.
Yeah, that's the one I thought was coolest.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see it. And it was just this like vendor guy that was just in this back little dark corner of the show. And I know like they just didn't get a lot of traffic back there. That's probably the only reason why it was still there. But yeah, if you don't know what it is, just look it up. It's like a weird it's like a 1917 like fit into the pattern of a 1903 sort of. And
it confuses people very well.
Yeah, most people think it's a sporterized 1917, but it doesn't have the pot belly magazine, and it's cock on open instead of cock on close. So it's pretty interesting. Picked up another Swedish carbine, which is funny because I was talking in the Discord. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was in one of the Discord channels. Somebody asked me about what the going rate of Swedish carbines were. And I said, oh, nowadays they're about $1,000 and up for a Swedish carbine. And like right after that, I walk up to a table, and there's a Swedish carbine, a 9414 for $725. I was like, wow, okay. Well, so I grabbed that, and okay, got an Chinese contract Inglos high power that's slotted. Has the tangent sight, which is perfect because I already have a stock for it. I got a Hungarian 37M 41 contract with the green like canvas Africa Core holster, and I got an early black grip 3-lever Viz 35 for 700.
Yeah, that Viz was beautiful when you posted pictures of it. Amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was one of those things where the dealer put it out early Sunday morning. He didn't have it on his table at all Saturday, and he put it on his table Sunday morning, and I just happened to walk by it, and I was like, "What?" Because there was another one there. There's another one there that was like $1,200 or $1,300 that I was like, oh, thinking about, and then I saw this one. And anywho, there's not like, I mean, for every good deal there is like that, there's like 50, like, whoa, I can't believe they're asking that. Like I showed Aaron some pictures of $800 M95 30s, so.
Oh yeah, bog standard Bulgarian reworks with the super shiny high gloss finish that Danny thought was a Bubba thing, and I'm like, oh no, that's just Bulgaria.
Yeah, it looked real polished. I was like, oh man, they polished that, and it didn't look good. It looked Bubba'd. But yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff. I didn't actually see it, but supposedly there was a gun there that was $1 million.
Whoa.
Somebody was asking. Yeah, I can't even remember what type of gun it was, but there's a lot of cool stuff at that show. There's stuff there that you don't ever see anywhere else. Like you'll just be walking randomly, and then there's like a bore sharp pistol with a stock, on a table. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's only $40,000. Oh, okay, nice.
I got to make the trip from New York sometime, I suppose.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth going at least once. But yeah, I think the spring one was a little bit better.
All right. Did anybody else have any recent acquisitions?
Oh, I'm still paying off my roof. Truth. Sometimes you have to be an adult.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Nothing recent for me. Like I said, the last one I bought was in 2020. It was my M1 Garand's from the CMP.
Yeah. The only thing I have recently is I traded Danny, my Berthier, for an M95, which is what you'd expect to hear me say.
You are the go-to for that.
It's another M95 long rifle, but this one was an 8x50. Oh wait, I did buy another M95 long rifle, an 8x50 from a member in the Discord. That was a AOI, which is an Italian African colonies rifle. So that's another M95 long rifle. So I have 3 M95 long rifles now, bringing my total of M95s to 10.
At least you have an even number.
You know what else is even? 12.
It never ends.
I'm not paying friggin' $800 for a standard version that I could have bought, 5 years ago for $200. Like, there are some M95s that I would potentially pay $800 for. A standard Bulgarian rework is not one of them.
Yeah, prices nowadays are really preventing me from just buying a lot of different things. I really got to just try and focus on what I really want. Yeah,
we always stress that here, is that I think it's better, is my personal opinion obviously, but I think it's better to specialize your collecting. Otherwise you're just gonna go nuts, I think, trying to figure out what all you're trying to get.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Says Danny, the man who sells me all of his weird stuff so he can go buy other weird stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I have a rotating collection because I can't afford it all.
Yeah.
No.
And I have that whatever it is when you get something like to scratch an itch.
We still need slow-mos of your Drysa. You have like Drysa, right?
I did that one. Yeah, the
You
1907. I did.
Oh, you did that one. Well, then what else do we need? Oh, the Frommer.
Yeah, I think that would look good. The most direct blowback pistols, even in 960 frames a second, they just look like so fast. It's like they're really ridiculous, the actions on those. But yeah, Frommer I think would look cool. Yeah, I need to take that out to the range. I just need to go shooting. Yeah. Joel invited me to his Panzerfaust Armory range, but I just got to take him up on it. Maybe after I move and everything.
All right. So let's get into our topic for the day then, huh?
Yeah, I guess we could tell everybody what we're doing.
Well, I mean, it'll be in the title.
Yeah, but so we're ranking them. We're going to take turns. We're going to go based on rifle. and then take turns. So we'll start out with
Yeah.
we're going from the least produced to most produced. We're going to start out with the...
Yeah, so we're doing a tier list, everybody. A tier list of rifles produced from 1930 to 1945. Well, I'm sorry. Adopted or designed in that time period. Sorry. Not produced. Because that would make a bunch of weird different things. So our tier list is S class, which is best of the best. A class, which is second place, second best. B class, which is middle of the road. C, low end. Or D, bottom of the barrel, aka barely better than a stick.
Yeah, I like your descriptions though for each one. So the S, the best of the best, is 0 to very like minor flaws. A, the second best, is 2 to 4 minor flaws, keeping it from moving up. B is it has 1 major flaw or 3 to 5 minor flaws. C is 2 to 4 major flaws, and then the bottom of the barrel, barely better than a stick.
All right, so we have 15 rifles that were designed and or adopted from 1930 to 1945, and we're going to start from the least production numbers up to the most production numbers. So there's some classics in here that most people will know, and there's some ones that are less well known because we wanted to try to have basically 1 rifle per country and 1 rifle per action, although there is a little bit of a caveat here with Finland and Russia. You'll get to that.
Yeah. And we should also say it's not an exhaustive list.
No.
So there are plenty that we're not on here because we cannot have every single one.
No, it would take
we
forever.
Limited. Yeah, we tried to get like 1 from each country, like each combatant sort of thing.
Yeah, so we tried to do like World War II stuff that was designed and produced and released in World War II. So
so like one of the things we talked about was like we did the Russian 9130, but we didn't do the Russian M38 Mosin carbine or the M44 Mosin carbine because we just kind of stuck it with the one. So
right, and people that are fans of Lee-Enfields, the SMLE is not on this list. The number 4 is because the SMLE was designed before World War II and before our time cutoff period.
Yeah, so this is just 1930 to 1945, designed and adopted.
So if they have updates to them, like the 9130 past 1930, I'm sure there's probably some SMLE people that are going to throw fits about this because there's probably some updates, thousands of updates. But we're just doing the number 4. It's honestly,
the Mark 1 kind of encompassed.
For some
Mark
reason,
1, Mark 1 star.
And we'll get into this, I guess, but I won't bring it up now. I'll bring it up when we talk about that one. All right. So at the beginning of each rifle, I'm going to do a short description describing the rifle and give everybody a background, a little bit about what it is. Unfortunately, I don't know this one very well, but Danny did a video on it, so you should go check that out.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to start with the Brazilian model 1935 Mauser. Danny, can you do a short prompt on it?
Yeah. So the Brazilian 1935 it's very simple. Most people I think are familiar with the Chilean 1935. The Brazilian is more of a like exactly what Mauser Oberdorf had in mind with the model of 1935 that it is. It's slightly, I guess the main takeaways, it looks a lot like a K98K. Barrel's slightly shorter. It has a K31 style front sight protector, like little ears, in 7mm, the best millimeter, and has quick detach side sling and undersling points, which I think is really nice. But other than that, it's a pretty standard, high quality, Mauser 98 action.
It is Carcano open for people that care about that kind of thing. It has tangent sights. Does it have a straight stock or a semi-pistol grip?
Oh, semi-pistol grip.
Yep. Okay. So I think that, and you said 7x57, so let's go ahead and we'll do our letters. So, Taylor, you can go first with your letter and defend yourself if we feel like it's not worthy of it.
Sure. This one I put in the S class best of the best. And this kind of surprised me a bit because I didn't know much about the Brazilian Mauser, but Danny's video and just some internet sleuthing really kind of solidified that for me.
All right. There's nothing that you can ding is a flaw to it or anything like that?
I mean, in my opinion, from what I've just read, I've never personally handled one, so no. I mean, 7mm is a great round just overall in general, and I feel like that kind of bumps it up to the S class, but it just looks like a very high quality made Mauser variant. And it's just, like Danny said, it's just even a little bit shorter than a K98 case, so it might be just a little handier, or just might be about the same weight, or maybe just a little less. So to me, it's in the upper best of the best category.
All right, I can respect that. Jared?
Oh, I said the same thing. For the same reasons.
S class, really? All right.
Everyone watch your video, Danny.
Danny, are you writing all these down in your little spreadsheet?
I should be. Yeah. Okay.
I have held it, so
I can do it. Yeah.
Oh, I can do it if you don't want to. If you get too spiced later on, Danny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're all. I think we're all
not
having
me.
Our libations here.
Oh yeah, it's Friday night, baby.
Yeah. What did you say you were drinking?
It's a craft Italian style Pilsner from Bozeman, Montana. Pretty good.
Pilsner, man, connoisseur.
Yeah. It kind of tastes like an IPA, but it says Pilsner, so I don't know. All craft beer tastes like an IPA to me.
Is it a fine Pilsner?
Yeah.
I know Jared's drinking a fine Pilsner.
That's right. It says right on the can.
I'm having a 12-year Macallan Scotch.
Very nice.
Okay, S, and Aaron, what is your ranking of the?
Oh, I was going up the list on the Discord, so you would be next.
Oh,
I mean, obviously.
you know what I'm gonna.
Sweet video on it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I think the 1935 is better than the Chilean, just slightly.
Oh, is it a turn down boat handle? I forgot to ask.
Yeah, it is. It's a turn down. The Brazilian has an inlet stock for the handle, like a K98K, where the Chilean doesn't. So the Brazilian turn down bolt, it's kind of a little bit more snug to the rifle, which I like more. It actually has the quick detach side sling on it. The Chileans, it's weird, right? They put the quick detach and then they also put a saddle ring over it, so it negates like the quick detach. So the slings are permanently attached onto Chileans, basically, which is a nice thing because you typically get them with slings when you find them. So like both my Chilean 1935s. Yeah, so both my Chilean 1935s have the original slings on them because they're stuck. You can't take them off. But like if it's 0 to minor flaws, the only nitpick I would have about the Brazilian 1935 is the rear sight doesn't go down to 100 because the lowest setting is 200, and that's it. I mean, I don't know how big of a difference that makes with 7mm, but it's just
it doesn't.
You and Jared both have hands-on experience with this, and whereas Taylor and I do not. So, but like sight picture with those weird front sights, it looks okay.
The barleycorn?
Yeah, I don't know. I've not seen it.
The protectors.
Yeah.
Ears or the wings? I've heard both. I think wings.
I've probably been told ears.
I always said ears. Yeah.
They're pretty good. I think they're about the best front sight protector. I don't have proof for this. I think I mentioned it in the video, but so the Mauser was looking to get Swiss production for the 1935, and so they went to Switzerland. No, this was before the 1935, but they went to Switzerland in the early 30s, and I'm pretty sure that one of the representatives in Switzerland saw the K the K11 or maybe K31 the carbine front sight and just said, we need this. It's like the perfect. And also they took the diagonally drift adjustable front sight blade, because most front sights on rifles just are directly left right. Where the Swiss and then the 1935s are diagonal. So you adjust them diagonal, so it's less there's less of a chance of overdoing it, of over adjusting the front sight. It's a little bit more finely tunable, which I think is really nice. There's just so many amazing features. I mean, a quick detach Sing setup on a rifle is pretty modern and cool. I like that a lot. I could talk about the 1935 a lot, but I love it. They're rare, so
who
they only made.
Who made the Brazilian one?
Mauser Obendorf did.
Okay.
So it's weird. The Brazilians ordered them, and for last I know, according to the documents that I found, the Brazilians ordered 10,000 1935s. Now the confusing thing is they ordered long rifles, and the long rifles are marked like Mod 35, like 1935s, but they're really 1908s. But they only ordered 1,000 of, I think they're written down as carbines, which is really kind of like short rifle length. They only ordered 1,000 of the, short rifle true model of 1935s for whatever reason. I don't know why they would order 9,000 long rifles in 1935 and only 1,000 of the carbines. So, but most of the long rifles weren't even used. So when you find them, you can find them like perfect, pristine. A lot of them were taken out of the crates. The Brazilians didn't
they
even
were imported into the U.S. in the crates that they came from the factory in Germany.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. There's some videos of the guys in Canada opening up crates.
Wow.
Because they went to so they go straight from Germany and sealed in the crate, go to Brazil, and then straight from Brazil to Canada, United States, and someone back to Germany. But so only 1,000 Brazilian 1935 short rifles made. And some went to Canada and Germany, and some to the United States. So
potentially Danny's best bolt action in terms of every possible iteration.
I think it is. Until I find something better, I think I would refer to it as the best.
Okay, should we get into my ranking of it?
Yes.
I gave it an A. And I for one, I don't feel like I can give it an S class without having handled it and shot it myself. And for two, I do not like turn down bolts, and that's just my thing. My first rifle was straight bolts in 1895 Chilean. I prefer straight bolts. I have big hands, big fingers, and I don't like the way you have to kind of get underneath a turn down bolt. It's just my opinion.
You're dead to me.
It's fine, but I'm gonna let you know. That turn down bolt handle does play a factor later on as well.
You're double dead to me.
Yeah. So, I get it. Like a lot of people, I had the same conversation with Othnius, and I think the difference is if you're putting the rifle down to your side and working the bolt between firings, then if you like straight bolt handles, I can guarantee that's what you do. But if you keep the rifle in your shoulder and are firing it fast, I think that's when a turn down bolt handle really kind of shines. Also, just carrying one around all the time. If you reenact, or if you just work outside and carry one or whatever, you'll find that a turn down bolt handle is much better. The mostly though the firing it, you can imagine shooting an infield, those guys when they're working it, they just work it from the shoulders and they can do it real fast with that turn down bolt handle, so that's
and I understand and I agree with everybody's decisions here and discussions here, and I am a big, as I said, my first rifle was a Chilean Mauser in 7mm. So I am also a huge proponent of 7mm Mauser as being one of the best rifle cartridges ever produced, and actually probably the pinnacle of Mauser's design in terms of cartridges, because he wasn't allowed to make a 6.5 or whatever he was trying to do. 6.
I think 6.
It was 6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my take on it. Obviously, not everybody's going to be happy with that, but whatever.
That's your own opinion.
So we'll move on to...
Yeah, you have the right to be wrong. That's all right.
All right, yeah, sure.
You pay your taxes.
Shots fired.
So we'll move on to a different 1935 from a different South American country that's not made by Mauser Obendorf. This doesn't get confusing at all, does it, Danny?
Yeah, I know. So, there are quite a few
there's a lot of 1935s, So Danny and I were discussing this, and we're like, we don't have a Mauser in 7.65, so we have selected as the next item on the list at 30,000 rifles produced, give or take, the Peruvian model 1935 short rifle, which is pretty much very similar to what Danny was talking about already, with the exception of it does not have the quick attached slings, right, Danny?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. I'm not super familiar with the 1935. It doesn't look like it does, no.
No, it does not also have the stock inlet for the turn down bolt. It is a normal stock. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's a Mauser tangent rear sight, protector on the front sight, semi-pistol grip stock. The big difference here is that this is in 7.65 by 53 versus 7mm Mauser, and I would say that your slight difference here is going to be the fact that you don't have the stock inlet, so you have even less purchase area to get underneath that bolt.
Yeah, they do sort of help that with the bolt design. They flattened and knurled the underside of the bolt handle, so it kind of helps you get a little bit more traction on the underside of the bolt and fit your hand.
And I wanted to, sorry, I bring this up now before I forget. I did look up weights and lengths for all these guns, and they were all so similar, with like one or two exceptions, that I'm not even going to bring it up because it's literally, they're almost all within half a pound of each other and within a couple inches to less than 10 inches of each other in terms of length. So that wasn't really a factor here because most of the time of this era, they're all going to be roughly short rifles anyway.
Yeah. I think a lot of battle rifles tend to be very similar in weight, especially by this era. Like it's almost like they kind of had it figured out by then.
Yeah.
There's some difference with lengths, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll bring that up when we get to it because there's a couple of examples here that are different. But for the most part, we're all in roughly the same territory for that. But I'll go first with the Peruvian model. It's in a worse caliber, and you have less bolt area purchase. I'm gonna go with a B. I don't care. I don't care for it. It looks pretty on the pictures I'm looking at. They're nice looking, but if I give the Brazilian an A for being in 7mm and all the other features, it has less sling features. It has the worser stock. I'm gonna give it a B. Danny, you want to go next?
Yeah, it's funny. I put A, but like you're honestly kind of selling me on a B here, because it doesn't look like it has the side sling, the same side sling setup. And
we should point out this is made by FN. Which is why it's not the same as the Brazilian one.
Yep. Made by FN, and it was their sort of 1935 design. Now,
so it's similar, but it's not the same. That's why we did it down here. So it's not just a caliber difference in terms of that. There are differences in it.
Now, overall, it's a great gun because it's it's a shorter. It's still, again, it's a little bit shorter than a K98K. It has a lot of good features, but the front sight I don't like the front sight that's on it. It is like the ears or the wings that stick up are relatively thin and short. Like it kind of looks like they just kind of stick up far enough to like protect the front sight, which to me, if your protectors are the same height as the rear sight blade, it tends to, you tend to want to maybe pick up one of the, front sight protectors instead of the actual front sight blade itself. Yeah. So, I mean, it's better than no protectors because I do like built-in front sight protectors, but this one's not great. Also, it uses the old, because it's like this old lineage of from Peru with the 7.65. It uses the old style, like straight-sided or smooth-sided stripper clips. And if you look at the receiver, you can kind of see this little this little hump kind of where the stripper clip guide is on that, because it needs that extra support. Because later on with the 93 and then the 98 stripper clip, those clips, because they have the little bumps on the side, they don't need that extra support on the bridge. So it uses the older inferior stripper clip. So it takes a knock for that. The caliber itself.
Go ahead.
The caliber itself isn't like terrible. It's not a bad cartridge. I would probably, other than just like availability, like today, like if all things were equal, like I would probably like 7.65, maybe more than 8mm. But I mean, it's okay. Like that's why I said I kind of gave it an A. But now that I'm thinking of it, it might more be a B. I don't know. Anywho,
I strongly put it as a B, just because I feel it's inferior to the Brazilian. But we'll move on. And Jared, what do you say, sir?
Oh, I gave it an A.
Okay.
Because it's a Mauser.
Oh, that's a take. Anything else? What keeps it from being an S for you? Is it what we've already discussed?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I like 7.65 Mauser, but it's not as good as 7mm. It's a pain to get. It's kind of hard to load for just because you can't get the correct bullet diameter. So they're inherently inaccurate, like nowadays. And it's not the fault of the rifle. It's the fault of the bullet manufacturers. So that's kind of a pain. That's kind of it. Okay, as far as like things that you didn't touch. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Taylor?
Yeah, I put it also in the middle of the road. My main reason is just because compared to a lot of the other kind of Mauser, it doesn't have like a lot of better features like compared to like, let's just say like the Brazilian or the Chilean. But also one thing that I was kind of reading about, I don't have any hands-on experience with this gun, so just everything is just me reading it and watching videos and everything. They were talking about how the safety is reversed compared to like all the other Mausers. It like goes the other way, and I'm just like, why? There was nothing
that's Peru.
Yeah, and it didn't. I'm like, just why? Make it like the other ones. Like this, it didn't really seem like a reason to do that other than just to be different, and it didn't stand out more than the other ones. So I'm just like, it's a middle of the road gun, in my opinion.
Peru did some really weird shit with their orders.
Yeah.
So Peru had the 1891s that they got from Argentina, and they liked those a lot. So they ordered the 1909s, model 1909s, and they're like, but we want the barrels from the 1891s to be able to fit on the 1909 action.
It's like, why?
Because they had a lot of extra barrels, and they wanted to be able to swap them whenever they wanted to. And so the 1909, even though it's a 98 action, has I don't know the term for it, but it's a small ring.
It's a large diameter action like a large ring, but it actually has a small ring barrel.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So Danny pointing out the fact that they also kept the old stripper clip design just says to me, they were like, oh, well, we already have all these stripper clips. I'm not fucking buying more. Just keep this thing.
Kind of like
came with the ammo.
Yeah. So Peru did a lot of stuff like that, as we've referenced. So that's not surprising to me.
And that's why their stuff is awesome, and I can't wait to have them all. Like Pokemon.
Peru, I mean, the 1909's crest is gorgeous, and they were in the white. It's just a gorgeous crest on those. So I will say, probably one of the better looking ones too, as far as that goes. And they're also the only ones they have a larger receiver than normal, than all the other 1898s, because they insisted on having underneath the crest Mauser original.
Wow,
stamped.
I just looked up a picture of it. It's gorgeous. It looks like a coin, like something you see on like money.
And you see the Mauser original underneath.
Yeah.
So
looks like a knockoff kind of.
What this was it was a way for them to all South American guns are all about posturing with other South American countries. So it was them going, look at our shit, how awesome it looks.
My dick is bigger than yours.
Oh, it's so much a dick swinging contest in South America.
It really was.
Damn.
It was funny because sometimes little things would snowball where like one country would just simply buy ammo. They'd buy like 1 million rounds of whatever. and then that would cause another country to buy like 2 million rounds.
Oh, yeah.
And then another country would just buy more rifles because they bought ammo. And then
South America saved Mauser. Like, that's not brought up a lot, but like South America funded Mauser for decades.
Oh, that's a good point.
For quite a few years they bought a lot. Probably the Ottomans saved them.
Well, I mean,
but,
at first, that was their first huge contract, but like South America bought a shitload, and they were also like, we'll buy anything brand new, whatever you got.
Yeah. It was good. It was good business for them, especially like the Brazilian 1908 contract was like a huge one at the time. I remember.
I feel like a lot of countries in South America compared to Europe, they were kind of seen as like second class on the world stage. So if they had new guns, new munitions, they were just like, oh, we're a modern army. We can do this.
They also got into a lot of fights with each other.
Yeah, that is true too.
In the early 1900s, South America was pretty like, they were very modern and well off and everything. Like there wasn't, they had their troubles and stuff in a lot of countries, but there wasn't like, they had more money for a lot more modern arms and stuff than today. There's not as much maybe corruption and stuff in some countries, or at least just hadn't been so many revolutions over and over again. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much, you get beaten down enough, it's hard to come back out of it. Anyway, so that puts us for the Peruvian model 1935 at B, Danny B, A, and A.
Yeah, I had a B on that one, yeah.
Oh, you had a B.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm the only standout. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Represent Mauser.
All right,
Hey, it's Mauser. All right, it's a Mauser. It's automatically an A at least.
All you gotta say. So the next one is one of my favorites.
The vegetable rifle.
Danny loves to mispronounce this. It is the Portuguese Mauser Vergero 1904-39, which is a Portuguese designed rifle from 1904 that was updated in 1939 from the 6.5 millimeter cartridge, which was unique to Portugal, to the standard 8 millimeter Mauser cartridge of Germany at the time. Actually, it's a straight up S.S Patron. Is that how you say that?
S Patron.
Yeah, it's a straight up copy of that ammunition. It is a straight bolt handle with a semi-pistol grip stock. Huge front sight protectors. Danny cannot argue about these ones because this is probably the largest that are ever been put on a gun.
Yep, I like big front sight protectors, and I cannot lie.
Those big front sight protectors. It does not have a quick detach sling, but it is underslung. Tangent rear sight, in 8mm Mauser. The action is a combination of a Gewehr 88, so it's very smooth. It's what they're known for. I have enough.
Like our Schonauer derivative, right?
It's a weird combination, honestly.
It's like a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix of Mauser, it's a mix of Gewehr 88s, it's a mix of Mannlicher Schonauer. It's definitely not a Mauser, although I have a friend in Portugal who sent me the literature. Even in the Portuguese official literature, it's called a Mauser Vergero. So it's definitely not a Mauser, though.
Yeah, I mean, some people online still to this day call it a Mauser. There was some YouTuber, a big YouTuber who called it. Yeah,
so I mean, wrong in doing that.
Who was it? Was it IV that did a top Mausers or something, and it was in the video? I think they called it.
Yeah.
I would say though these are made by DWM, so that's another credence to lend it to as far as it being at Mauser, but it also is high quality, obviously. So I've already gone on enough about this. I'll move on to Jared. You go first.
Okay, I have it listed as A.
All right.
And like, if you saw my actual list, you would totally understand why. But mainly, it's a rimless round. Okay.
Oh, we're getting into this discussion already.
I'm usually the ammunition guy, so
I have that on my list too.
Yeah, it's a rimless round. It is a decent round. I like 8mm. It's punchy. It's a normal. I don't know. It's like a normal, decent bolt action rifle. It's stripper clip fed, 5-round internal box magazine. I don't, bolt handle to me don't matter, straight or bent.
Fair enough.
I have the same front sight protector on my 937 Mauser, Portuguese Mauser, so I know what it looks like, and I like that. It's
you could just say it's fucking gigantic.
yeah, you can't hurt it. It's nice, and yeah, that's my.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Danny?
I gave it a B.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
I gave it a B because honestly, if I gave the Peruvian a B, this one definitely gets a B. Straight bolt handle. Yeah. So automatically just not as compact and handy and stuff like that. I don't like a split bridge, so I don't like rifles that don't have, like a solid receiver bridge. And it was probably fine in the earlier design, when it's 6.5 or whatever, but then, you're stepping up to 8mm and you probably want that action. So I typically don't like bolt handles that are forward of the receiver bridge as well. I just don't.
Okay.
It's a little bit too far forward. It's better when it's further back for working it and everything. And again, it's one of those things where it doesn't seem like it's just like an inch or whatever. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal until you really get to like using it and shooting it from the shoulder and everything. And I not to get into further guns, but other guns of similar actions that I've fired, I've liked less because of that action. Now it is very smooth and everything. Like I'll give it credit where credit's due. Very smooth action. Those just kind of tend to be. But yeah, it's lacking a little bit in the strength department. Don't like the bolt handle placement. But I mean, I think they did a pretty good job of bringing, the Vergero up to like the Mauser kind of, because they really were trying to make it, that
Right.
the K98K.
It was shortened too. I should bring that up. They did shorten
yeah.
it by about 5 or 6 inches, so
Yep.
it wasn't just a caliber change.
Yeah, they pretty much made it very 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 close to a K98K overall handling and stock and everything like that. So, I mean, it's a B. I didn't give it a C.
I just noticed it
middle of
doesn't
the
have finger grooves in the stock.
Yeah, no.
Taylor?
I actually had this as an A. Some of the stuff that you guys have touched on already, like Danny said with the split bridge receiver, I generally just don't think it's not that it's not a great design, but when you're getting into like you guys have said, like an 8mm, like I just feel like just a regular kind of Mauser just action would be better for that. And then I kind of asked myself the question, like I get the guy wanted to design it, the officer in the Portuguese military, but it's just like at that point, why not just go with the Mauser? If you're trying to take the best of everything and make a gun, just go with the Mauser. But what he did was actually pretty great. I didn't really have a lot of flaws that I'd found in it, so it kind of just fell into the A category for me. And from everybody that like I talked to like a few of the Discord guys, I asked them, hey, do you have any opinions on this? And one of them was like, oh, it's like one of my favorite guns. It's great, smooth action, great shooting. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it kind of just fell into A for me.
And I'll go into A as well for myself. And what everybody's talked about, it doesn't, like Danny's issue with the split bridge doesn't bother me. I will say that it is weird if you're used to it being behind the receiver bridge. It does your hand is out of place a couple times. It does feel weird. And the only thing else I will say that is weird about it is the bolt handle itself is kind of stubby. Did you notice that, Danny? Danny, is he here? Is he alive?
Muted.
Danny.
He's muted himself.
Oopsies. It is kind of stubby, but they kind of have to be.
Well, they don't have to be, as we'll get into later rifles.
Ooh.
They don't have to be, and they don't always are. They always are, but it is stubby and it is kind of out of place. So it is kind of awkward at first, but I don't feel like it's any issues with recoil with 8mm in this. It's not like they actually made it lighter versus the 6.5 version. So I actually enjoy shooting a lot. So I'm in agreement with most everybody here. I would keep it as an A.
Everybody gave it an A except for me.
But you gave it a B.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like straight bolt handles and split bridges, so
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
I mean, whatever.
I just think it's a flaw, like it's a fundamental like design flaw once you split the bridge. And I know it's a very old style. It's a holdover from a very old style of bolt action. Is just what the split bridge is.
Yeah.
So I treat it as such. It is secondary.
All right.
I agree with that.
So we'll move on. Oh, I know what's next. It's a Swedish meatball. That was a terrible Swedish impersonation. It's one of Danny's favorites because he loves Swedish stuff so much.
I thought the Finn was next.
No, wait. Oh, damn, you're right. Sorry.
So it's not a Swedish meatball.
No, it's a Finnish.
Finnish meatball.
Fish?
Finnish meatball.
Finnish
Fish?
fish? I don't know what the fuck they eat in Finland.
Wait, no, there's Swedish
fermented
fish too.
shark.
They
Oh
have Swedish
no!
fish.
So I'm sorry, guys. I
Oh,
messed up. We have the next up is the Finnish M39 rifle, which is a variation produced in Finland of the M91 Mosin Nagant, with approximately 102,000 produced. It has a tangent rear sight, the Mosin Action, which is a straight bolt handle, with 7.62 by 54R, semi-pistol grip stock, updated rear sights versus the M91 rifle, front sight protector. Am I missing anything, guys? Finger grooves in the stock. And it's underslung, Danny's favorite.
Yeah.
That's about it. Am I missing anything else, guys?
No, that sounds about it.
All right. I'll go first on this just to get myself out of the way because I don't have much to say about it. I'm gonna give it a C. And it's our first C. It's a polished turd.
You're making Finn collectors very angry.
I don't care. It's a polished turd, and that might give me away as far as what I'm going to rate the 9130. But you've taken a turd, you've made it as polished as best as you can, and that's what you have. So it's what you're going to use. But yeah, that's my opinion of it. I don't care for the action. I don't care for the cartridge. I don't care to shoot one. So that's it. I'm good. I don't really want to talk anymore about it. We'll move on to Jared.
I actually have it as a B.
Okay.
And I have one, and it's nice, but rimmed round. And rim round in a Mosin's kind of weird because they have the interrupter, but if the interrupter's broken, then it doesn't matter. So I just don't like rimmed rounds. It's a nice rifle. I actually prefer the 2830, which has the same sights, but it does not have a semi-pistol grip, which you'd think, why would you want that? I don't know. I just prefer my 2830 to my M39. So
I don't understand.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I
Why
don't know.
would you want to go backwards?
Sometimes
I could kind of see what he's saying because I have an M39 too, and I also have an M27. And the M39 could kind of feel a little bulky compared to some of the more straighter wrist stocks. So I kind of get what he's saying with that.
Yeah.
Do they have like a thicker stock to them?
Yes.
Yeah, the M39 they do. Yeah. They're a lot more beefed up.
It is. And I have the middle. So I actually know a decent amount about M39s. I have the middle stock. So there's like the circular cuts, the square cuts, and then the small triangle cuts where they join them together.
Yeah.
And I have the middle one. So and it's unissued condition. It is beautiful.
I will correct myself here. Sorry, guys. It is underslung and side slung. It is possible to do both. I apologize to Finnish collectors. I mean, I'm not going to still take back the fact that I think it's a polished turd, but it is both side and underslung. Apologies.
To me, it's a little bit overhyped too.
Yeah.
I got mine. I have a really nice B-barrel one, which is a decently rare one, and for rifles, anyways. And when you shoot it, like it shoots good, but it shoots the same as other Milsurps that I have, where the 2830 is excellent. So I have it as a B, if you want my opinion, a better Finnish Mosin is the 2830.
Unfortunately,
it's not on the list.
Yo.
So that's why I have it as a B. I like my Mosins, and I like my Finnish Mosins, but it's not the best Finnish Mosin, in my opinion.
I
I'll
said
go last.
C. I said C was low end. So, and we're saying middle of the road for some of this. So, Taylor, what are you saying?
I'm kind of torn between B and C, and just to put it out right on Front Street here, I love Mosins. Not for their, let's just say, everyone tries to hype up the fact that it's accurate. It's not accurate. Like, I'll just get that out there. I just like it from a historical standpoint. But the M39, my biggest problem with it, where I'm kind of torn between a B and C, and probably at the end of this, as I talk it out, I'll kind of choose one. But it was also designed for a heavier bullet. The Finns, they had their own loading with a heavier bullet. And a lot of what we shoot here in the US is not that. We just shoot surplus or commercial ammo. So I feel like even when you shoot it, you're not going to be getting the desired accuracy out of it unless you put the work in and hand load that ammo or find it like the Lapua loading or whatever. My opinion on the M39 just as a rifle, it's it is a polished turd, yes, and you still have the inherent problems that the bolt, like the heart of the Mosin system is the bolt that Othias' video just completely blew apart for me.
Great extraction on that bolt, guys, right?
Well, it really kind of shattered the glass house that I live in with that, because man, it really is just stacking tolerances and just, so I get that, but at the same time, I don't want to say it's low end, just because they did put a lot of work into it and it is very refined for what it is. And just from my opinion, from a historical standpoint, they just made the best with what they had. So I'm going to rate this one a B. And
all right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
just like I said, same as the 9130 flaws, but just better. So I'm just going to go B.
Okay, I'm glad you gave it a B, because I as well was torn between a B and a C. So if you go B, I'll go C, and we'll just kind of
We'll negate each other? What's the point of that?
I take the high road, you take the low road, my man.
Yeah, that's what I'll.
It's kind of in between though, and I get what everyone is saying, because you don't want to say it's like a low end gun because of all the things they had to do with it and polish the turd, so to speak. And then there are other better Finnish rifles, in my opinion, that are better than the 39, and it is overhyped because they say, it's the Cadillac of Mosins. But they only say that, I think, just because it was the final step. You know what I mean? So I get what everyone's saying.
I will say this though. They are pretty to look at with that Arctic birch.
They're gorgeous. Oh,
that Arctic
I
birch
love
is
mine.
really pretty.
Mine
Danny.
Yeah, no, they are. And it's the interesting thing is that I don't know if you guys noticed, everybody's just comparing it to other Mosins. And whenever you compare it to just other Mosins, it's then it's pretty good. M39's pretty good. And it's okay, we'll step outside of that to another gun that has better extraction and that doesn't have a single stack magazine. Yeah. Well, I know, but okay, here's the main thing probably for me is that the M39, it's one of those optical illusions. It's much longer than it looks. Kind of like a 1917. It's a long gun, it's a pretty hefty gun. And of course, they were just going for straight accuracy with that. That's just what the Finns wanted. I think we last time with Othias, we talked about their reasonings for it. They were just accurizing the Mosin pretty much, squeezing every ounce of accuracy they could out of it. And when that is your primary objective, then you give up on, you add weight, you add length to it. So to me, I don't like the extra length and, heft to it, which is a really big deal if you're going to be carrying it around a lot.
Yeah.
From a soldier's perspective, and then kind of just everyone knows Othias's quote, the Mosin was built on an inherently flawed bolt. Othias said that. The bolt's got issues. And then everyone is oh no, it doesn't jam. The rim cartridge is not a big deal because it has an interrupter. And it's well, how come they jam? How come they get rim lock?
Right.
The Finns actually have HV mags, which are supposedly even better interrupters. They still do it. So
yeah, I've mostly shot Finn Mosins. When I would go out with a Mosin, I always take a Finn, because why would I take a Russian one over a Finn? Yeah. And I always, it's happened on camera. I've gotten rim lock on camera. So it still happens. So I don't know. So that's why I give it a C. I mean, I still like it as a gun, and I think fins are still pretty cool. What I think this goes along the lines of what you said, Jared, about you like the 28-30 a little bit better.
Mhm.
I like now if they made like a 27 with the winged bolt with better sights, I think that would be a pretty good one, and a little shorter. If they did it a little bit, yeah, I know, but
If
the
they
winged
made a
bolt
gun
and
that
then a little
doesn't
bit
exist,
shorter.
it would be better.
Anywho, that's just sort of my thing. It's big, it's long, it's it's too heavy.
Yeah.
It's bulky, like you guys said, with the stock and everything.
I have a lot of fins, and it's not my favorite fin. So
Oh.
Same.
As a fin, if coming from a fin collector, that's pretty harsh judgment.
yeah,
All right,
like,
so
I wouldn't trade it, but
I get you. I mean, they're nice to look at. They're good-looking pieces of history. Like, but yeah.
I got a super desirable one too.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
All right,
I'm keeping track of our scores here.
so we'll move on to the Swedish meatball, then the actual Swedish meatball.
Or fish.
The Swedish Mauser M/38 at lowercase m. Danny made me sure to say that.
Yes.
Now, only around 60,000 were produced from Husqvarna. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Husqvarna.
But another 55,000 or so were remade from previous rifles. So this is a rare example on this list where you can either find one with a turn-down bolt or a straight bolt.
Yeah, because the Swedes did not differentiate between the shortened long rifles in their designations, you can find one. Now, I have a shortened long rifle that still has a turn-down bolt handle because apparently in the beginning they turned them down and then they just stopped.
Stopped bothering.
Yeah, they stopped bothering. Yeah.
So
but
it is a turn-down bolt. It is a straight stock, straight wrist. It is no front sight protector, underslung only. It is a ladder rear sight, right?
it's
It's combination.
both.
It's
I probably just say tangent would probably best summarize it, but yeah.
It is okay. It's tangent then, and then it is in 6.5 Swedish.
The best 6.5.
Danny's favorite 6.5. Now this one these are significantly shorter than some of the other ones we've talked about, right?
It's general short rifle length. It's about that
Same,
20...
roughly the same. Okay.
Yeah. It's a
I'm sorry. You know what I'm thinking of? We were just talking about the carbines earlier, so that's what I'm thinking of. Which those are little small boys.
Oh yeah. The carbines are little shorties.
Danny, you want to go last or you want to go first? I know you're gonna.
I should probably go first.
It's one of your favorites.
Yes. I gave it an A.
nerd.
Not an S because yeah, I know I'm a nerd, but it's not side slung. They were slung still. And there is no semi-pistol grip. It's a straight wrist stock.
And it is straight. It looks like a freaking boat paddle.
Yeah, it really does. And I don't like straight wrist stocks.
And that butt plate is freaking 90-degree angle.
Yeah, it's flat.
There is no curve there.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't, there's no recoil with it, so
it doesn't 6.5, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife shoots my little M94 carbines in 6.5 and like just doesn't complain of the recoil at all. It's very pleasant shooting. And I shot an M96 with a Chilean 1895 and you can tell a difference even though it's just that 0.5 millimeter. But it is a softer shooting gun. So out of a short rifle like the M38, it's even better. Having a lighter recoiling round. It's cock on, close, which a lot of people, there's like a debate still about cock on close versus cock on open, but it is very fast. You can kind of do the Lee-Enfield like speed shooting with it, where like you can keep your like your pointer finger and your thumb like kind of on the bolt, and then reach down with your middle finger and pull the trigger. You can do that with like the M38 pretty well. I have a video doing that, and yeah, I mean overall it's a good round. I think the sight is a little like old fashioned on it. Like it could use like kind of an updated like more updated tangent.
It's very simple.
Sight. Yeah, but it's not terrible. So
and it just has a blade at the front though. You don't like that particularly. An unprotected blade.
Yeah, an unprotected one, which yeah, they made clamp-on front sight protectors for the Swedes, like similar-ish to like the K98K is like a little separate piece of metal that goes on it. So, I mean, you can say it's unprotected, but they made them to protect it. So,
was that the standard from the factory to put that on there?
I think by the so that's a good question. I think by the 40s, yes. Not maybe from the factory, but I think they were issued.
Was a secondary.
I don't want to put my foot in my mouth with that.
Okay.
But
well, if we don't know, we don't know.
But yeah, it would be perfect if the M38, if it had like a side sling and a semi-pistol grip stock, I would say that it would be probably an S. But I'm gonna have to give it like a A minus kind of. Because of the issues I'm a Swede lover. I love Swede rifles, and I think a Husqvarna made M38 is probably the highest production like quality Mauser out there. They're very, very high quality. With the steel content, like the quality of the steel and everything, like they're fantastic shooters and everything overall. And even with that, I still only gave it an A.
Only. Jared?
I'm going S.
Oh.
All right. First off, it's a Mauser.
Okay.
I like 6.5. It's the rifle that, or it's the caliber that when I wanted to get my wife into shooting my rifles, I'm like, here, let's shoot this. I have the long rifle, not the 38, but it's negligible difference.
Mm-hmm.
Rimless round. I don't like rimmed rounds. So easy to load, easy to work, easy to shoot. You can get them with the fancy sights, which are nice. Usually the converted ones have them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're very accurate. I have a friend who has a few of them, and they're just ridiculous. They still use the round today. You can go buy box ammo for it. Like, it's not PPU. Like, you can go buy Winchester ammo for it. So that helps.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Maybe not Winchester made, but like
I was gonna say we shouldn't necessarily bring ammunition in, but it's your own opinion. I don't give a shit. So whatever.
I like your point of views from these, Jared, because you do tend to like be very like ammo centric with these.
That's fine.
Well, so I like how we all have our own angle.
Right.
I know. I'm just saying I like how we all have our different sort of angles with these.
Right. I was trying to take a different angle than other people when I made this list. And when we're all done, I'll explain my listing to you, and you'll kind of go, "Oh, of course."
All right.
And because to me, ammo is very important because without food, the gun don't shoot.
That's true.
So, the availability to actually get some of this stuff actually plays a lot into it. So you can go buy Swede projectiles, 264s, and it's not a big deal. And they offer a bunch of different ones for different things because people do use these rifles for hunting today, or target shooting or whatever. Like, they make modern rifles on this round, and to me, the M38 is a bolt action rifle that shoots a round that's still used. That's why I put it.
That's not disagreeable. I would agree with that.
That's one of the reasons I put it up there.
Yeah. So Jared has it as S, and I have it as B, middle of the road. I don't like a straight stock. I prefer a semi-pistol grip, and I've only ever seen Danny's, which is a turn-down bolt handle. So if it has a straight bolt handle, maybe I would enjoy it more. But
yeah. I was gonna say I only showed you one of them.
I think so. I honestly though, Danny, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure I've only
probably overload.
Them. Yeah, but I don't know. I've handled a couple of Swedish rifles before. I don't know if it was a 38. I don't think it was. I think it was something else. I just don't have the fascination with them that a lot of people do. I don't disagree about the quality and the craftsmanship and all that kind of thing, but like, I don't. It just doesn't appeal to me as a thing, and I just don't. I don't see the fascination. Kind of like, I guess, with it makes less sense. It makes more sense to me to be fascinated with this than Finnish rifles and Finnish Mosins, because, like I said, it was like whatever. But I just don't see. I think the issue for me is it's a neutral country, and there's just not a whole lot of military history with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing. It's not really a dog. Like, I only have a couple of points on the rifle itself, but like, it just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. Like, I don't see any. Like, I'd have no interest whatsoever to get started into this.
A lot of people are that way with neutrals. I hear that a lot.
Taylor.
Yeah, I kind of view this as a middle of the road as well. I don't know very much about Swedish firearms. It is a Mauser. I know it's very high quality made. I don't have any hands-on experience with it, but looking at the stock, the wrist, it just seems very thick. I don't know if that's just the pictures I've been looking at, or if that's how it feels in the hand. Maybe Danny can tell me. But it
doesn't feel that thick in the hand.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
What? Way to get right in that mic. That's going to be the tag for the episode. It doesn't feel that thick.
Doesn't feel that thick in the hand, baby. So, I mean, to me, I just think that it's a very, good-looking gun. Just, it doesn't. I kind of share a lot of the sentiment that Aaron has as well. It just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't really rise above some of the other guns on the list to just really, go to that second best, that A. Definitely not an S class, in my opinion. But just for me, it's kind of the middle of the road.
Yeah, and I would say it's something that I haven't. I should have brought up with the Vergero, but this doesn't. The Vergero strikes me as a pretty thing to look at. This doesn't strike me as a pretty thing to look at.
This looks like if IKEA designed a rifle. I mean, it's just the way I see it. It's just very geometric. It's very pretty to look at, but it just, I don't know. With me, it doesn't strike.
No, it doesn't strike me either. So
yeah, okay. Well, I mean, opinions, but like I said, I don't have any hands-on experience with it. So maybe if I shot one, I'm sure 6.5 is great to shoot. I just never shot one, so maybe if I get to shoot one day, it'll kind of turn my opinion a little bit. I'll have to keep it on the list.
It's interesting that I know, I see what you mean. It really kind of doesn't. It's not like it doesn't like exude elegance. I think like the M96 long rifles, people tend to like think that those are like nicer. Like nobody really sees like an M38 and thinks like, oh, that's a really nice one, But like the M96s tend to like get a little bit more like respect or something. But it's
it walnut instead of that.
I wish. Oh, yeah. But I kind of wish like it did.
Then they would be absorbently expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a good gun. I mean, it doesn't ride. It's not a bad gun. It's not an amazing gun. So it's just kind of me in the middle of the road. So B for me.
Right. So we'll move on to. Oh, this is another interesting one we put on here. The Hungarian 35M. Which Danny has has owned two of these, right, Danny?
Yep.
All right, so this one is kind of funky. Jared or Taylor, did you know about this beforehand?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of one of these.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Most people don't know about these, so I'll give a quick rundown on this. This is the Hungarian replacement for the M95. They tried to do the shortening program that Austria did with the M95-30. They gave up on that and decided to make their own rifle. And so they took essentially a Mannlicher Schonauer action and mated it with a M95 magazine. So it has a straight bolt, split bridge, tangent rear sight. It does not have a full stock all the way to the end of the rifle or into the barrel. It's kind of like an exposed barrel end on it. It's a two-piece stock, which is it's a first on this list. So Hungary had issues with hardwoods, so they had to make a two-piece stock. The butt stock is a separate item. It is fed with an N-block. It's the first on this list with an N-block clip. It uses the same clip as the M95 30 or the M95, whatever, and it is in 8x56R. And since Danny has hand-on experience, I probably should let him go first.
Yeah, I gave the 35M a B. It's really all the same critiques that I have with the Vergero, really. But probably it's a little bit worse, I guess, or better. The Mannlicher packet loading, versus stripper clip loading.
This is something that'll come up though. It has have a hole in the magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it kind of has to. Yeah, it kind of has to have a hole in the bottom of the magazine, which is you could see that as inferior, maybe to the to the Vergero. It is not the 30. Yeah, the 35M. It's interesting. It has the cocking piece almost just like the M95. Yeah, split bridge and everything. Super smooth. Like you work the action on that gun, and it feels almost like you're working it without any rounds in it because of how smooth it is. The packet loading is pretty fast. It actually holds 5 rounds in the magazine though, unlike the M95. Which is a little difference I'd throw out there. I really like it.
Solve the issue with rim lock by making it packet loading.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they don't get rim jam, because of the packet loading. Putting them into a like a separate magazine is really kind of when you get that problem. But they're fun little shooters and everything, but they're just not that great. So I give them a B.
I did forget to mention approximate production of these is 162,000. I say approximate because Hungary was involved. Hungary was involved in a couple of wars, guys. So a lot of stuff didn't survive.
Yeah, and these actually were used on the Eastern Front. Hungary invaded the USSR with Germany. Hungary was an ally of Germany. They weren't like subjugated so much like other countries were. They invaded and then got invaded,
and then civil war, and then more bullshit. It was really bad.
Yeah, and then the Soviets rolled in there during the Hungarian Revolution and stomped them, and so those people, they're almost like a lesser known Poland of Europe sort of thing. But, 35Ms are pretty uncommon, and they go for quite a bit of money now when you do find them. But they're very hard to find. Like you could look on Gunbroker right now or whatever, and you most likely there's not going to be one whenever you search for it.
Dibs on Danny's when he gets bored.
You can go ahead. I don't have much of an interest in it.
Oh, I'm surprised you don't, Aaron. That's funny.
I wanted the one you got the first time, but you sold it out from underneath me. I'm not bitter, but moving on. Honestly, with the exception, the only reason it has the M95 magazine is because they had that ammunition available, and that was just the easiest thing to do. Otherwise, like, they were going to move towards what they ended up moving to, which is the G98 40, or whatever that version is, whatever it's called for the Hungary 43, 41, whatever that.
43
the
and then
G98
40. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was their plan eventually. This is like a stopgap rifle and interesting, definitely an interesting design and a good attempt. I guess I'll go with my opinion of it. I put it as a C. I just think it's a stopgap, and it's got a neat action, but it is split bridge, and it's just a weird mishmash of whatever they had available to make, and it's unlike anything else. It doesn't look like anything on this list.
Yeah, it's most relatable probably to like a Dutch, I would say, but it's
it just doesn't. It's just a weirdo, and in terms of that and that. But Taylor,
I would also give this a C on the low end. I had to do some research on this because I'd never heard of one before I was given this list. Honestly, when I looked up some videos and stuff on it, I've never held one, never heard of one. Just Ian put up an older video of like the bolt disassembly for the 35M, and it looked kind of complex. It was like 6 or 7 different pieces, I want to say. It just seemed kind of like this weird, like if a soldier had to do this in the field or some kind of thing, it would just be kind of disastrous. The 2-piece stock doesn't bother me as much, like with the separate butt stock, because like that's kind of like the Enfield kind of did that, like Lee-Enfields and stuff. So that doesn't bother me so much. And then I forget who mentioned it. I think it was it Danny that mentioned it was a stopgap rifle just between the 43. Oh, okay. It was just a stopgap between the 43M and the Gewehr 9840. It just didn't. It was just like this weird, like middle of the road kind of thing. And then with the open basically hole on the bottom of the not magazine. Well, I guess it's a magazine. And then
it is a magazine, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a technical term for it. That just to me on all the rifles that have that's just a sticking point, because especially if you're like crawling on the ground, and I mean just stuff's going to get in there, you know. And that's just my opinion. I'm more practical over like fine refinement. So to me, that's just like a big like kind of red flag, like a big flaw in that. So to me, this would just be a C on my in my opinion.
Fair. I think it's fair. Jared?
I have it as a B. Rimmed round. Rimmed round, like and
but
the thing,
I mean, but it's rim round, but it solves rim lock issue.
But it's not a bi-directional Mannlicher clip.
Well, that is true.
That was the other main thing I had. Like a Dutch gun is either way, right? They're rimmed round.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that statement.
So that was the reason why I went lower on it, was rimmed round, and because the non-bi-directional clips, along with other things that everyone else had said, of course.
Yeah.
Going last is kind of like, what didn't you guys say?
Yeah, fair enough. You know, that's why I'm trying to switch it up.
No, you're doing a good job, honestly. I enjoy it, and trying to remember some of the stuff too is a little bit difficult, so that's fine.
All right. So we'll move on to we're getting into some much higher production numbers here. Oh, I know what's next. The Swiss K31, my arch nemesis.
You mean like the perfected Mannlicher? Is that what you mean?
No, it's totally not a Mannlicher. It's totally independent design.
Yeah, but Schmidt, he
had nothing to do with this one. He was dead.
Yeah, he didn't have anything to do with this one.
I mean, he started it, and he was inspired by the straight pulls. I know it's not a Schmidt Rubin. I know the 31's not.
I like my F-150. It's designed by Henry Ford. You know, he started it.
Damn.
Coming in hard.
Okay, so Jared's got the jokes. We'll start with Jared then.
I have 2 K31s. I love my K31. I like to bring it up because I have the most beautiful K31 ever of all time, and I bought it off of Danny, and it's mine now. Do you need to get through the run of the rifle, though, by the way?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I totally just blanked on that. So K31, Swiss K31, approximate production of 528,000. Tangent rear sight, front sight protector, straight pull bolt action. So this does not have a turning bolt. It's in 7.5 Swiss. It has a semi-pistol grip stock, and something that I said we weren't going to bring up unless it became an issue, but I will bring it up for this, which is part of my reasoning, is that the Swiss is a heavy boy. It's a big hoss. It's just under 9 pounds, fully loaded. Other than that, they're renowned for their quality of production. It is actually more of an issue to find one unmatched. It's more rare to find one unmatching than it is to find one all matching. Rarity in the Milsurp world. That's about it, really. I mean, they are renowned for accuracy, renowned for quality of production, and they were not used in a war, so obviously they were pretty well taken care of for the most part. And so we'll go to Jared.
Okay, so I have it at A, and The only reason I have it at A over S is because it is a straight pull, so it lacks primary extraction.
Oh, and it is side slung. I'm sorry, side
Yeah,
slung.
it is. So good points of the rifle is the cartridge is awesome. It actually is 308 diameter, so if you're going to buy any rounds, it's really easy. They're fed with a packet,
Yes.
but the K31s are also stripper clip cut. There were supposed to be metal stripper clips for it.
Oh yeah, you can see it on this picture I'm seeing.
So there are actually designs for metal stripper clips to actually stripper clip.
But
feed
they
them.
don't actually exist.
They are very rare. They do exist. There was
Okay.
someone online a while ago that was going to like try to remake them, but obviously he hasn't because he would have been a millionaire.
Yeah.
If he did.
Yeah, it's better than that paper.
Yeah, the paper ones they work, but I don't know, man.
Yeah,
don't
for those
last.
that don't understand, the stripper clips or the packet, I don't know what the hell to call them really. They're really big packets essentially of resin impregnated cardboard, and it is literally cardboard. That the rounds would come in. The issue that a lot of people have with them is that they had tin pot metal feed or retaining lips, I guess is what they would basically be, and those tend to wear out because the packets were not intended to be reused. So if you can find one of the clips, they tend to be worn out already, so it's already a bit of an issue. So that's something that you wouldn't want to look into if you're trying to become a Swiss collector.
They are 6 rounds.
Oh, that is true. I forgot about that. You do have a 6.
Yeah, they do. They are 6 rounds. They actually have a free floated barrel. If you guys didn't know that, there's a bushing. Yeah, there's a bushing on the front underneath the wood, and that bushing sits all the way up near the front sight, and the wood does not touch the barrel the whole way to the rear of the action. So it's not like a free float like an AR would be, like what you would think of, but it is actually a free floated barrel.
Yeah,
nice.
Which is accurate. Huge front sight protector. I love my K31s. Honestly, they're fantastic. Mine actually have a weird issue where they don't like. You have to seat the rounds deeper in the casing if you want to reload for them. It's just the way it is. They don't have a lot of space between the bolt face and the lands and grooves of the rifling. It's kind of an odd thing, but
very tight tolerances.
Yeah. So the only thing that I really don't like is just the lack of primary extraction. Is it that big of a deal? No, but it's the negative thing I could think of.
Fair enough. And that keeps it out of being S for you?
That's the only thing to me that keeps it out of being S. If it was made by Paul Mauser, it would be an S tier gun.
There you go.
You didn't even bring up the trigger. It's famous trigger. Jared or Taylor?
Yeah. Well, I guess the trigger with 2-stage trigger. I mean, I hear it's very nice. I've shot one once, only for a few rounds. I was at the range and a guy next to me had one, and we were talking. He offered me to shoot a few rounds. Trigger was great. Other than that, to me, I'm gonna put this as an A. There are a few other guns above this that I would put in the S category. So this didn't quite make it into the S category, just because it was a neutral country. And the weight of the gun really kind of hinders that. I feel like if, it was ever used in like real combat, that would just kind of be a thing. So this is more of like a target rifle that's like used by military, I suppose. It's a really high quality gun. The sights, they go down to 100 meters. So, really close to really far away. I think it goes out to like 1,500 or 1,800 meters. It goes way out there. But to me, it's just a very high quality gun, accurate, excellent manufacture. And like I said earlier, the stripper clips, like the packet loading. I mean, it's just one of those things where it wasn't really meant to be just like reused over and over again. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know much more of what to say about it, just because everyone kind of knows about it already. So to me, it's a great gun. A.
All right, Danny.
Yeah, I love the K31. I would just always have. The action's very smooth and slick for a straight pull. Mm-hmm. There's not because of how finely put together and crafted and everything and fitted it is. The action is very, very smooth. And I don't know why I've just always really liked K31s, but I haven't liked them enough to like get like a whole bunch of them and to really get into them. I just have like like one nice one that I just
don't you have like
love.
the Swiss collection though?
I just have one of like each of the more common ones.
I'm about to say, I mean, no, you even have the rare one though, Danny.
Oh,
yeah, he does, yeah.
Oh yeah, the 1893. I keep forgetting about that one.
I was gonna say
I should put it in the lineup. I don't have it in the lineup.
You have
on the wall
you
with the
have
other
like
ones.
an example of every generation of Swiss rifles. I'm pretty sure. At least Swiss smokeless powder.
Yeah, I think I do have the earlier black powder one though. Just one. Like I said, I really like them. I like Swiss guns and everything. They're just super finely crafted. Gosh, I'm kind of torn between A and B because I want to give it an A.
But why B?
Because it's like, so with our description here of like an A is if it has like 2 to 4 minor flaws, and a B is if it has like 1 major flaw. So I'm trying to see is the length and weight, is that a major flaw or a minor flaw?
I would have figured you would have gone with the straight pull being a major flaw.
I think because the straight pull's so finely made, it's not an issue for Danny.
Yes.
And also,
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, no, it's not a Mannlicher, so it's a nice straight pull. So,
but I mean, it is a bolt out to the side. You prefer a bolt to be depositing yourself near the trigger, don't you?
It's not, the turn down to me is not about how close it deposits my hand, because I was going to make a video about this a while back. You can kind of hang on to that little beer keg and pull the trigger down there. And it doesn't it's not a traditional straight bolt handle. Because of that beer keg style, it goes out like in a T.
It is not very large. I will give you that.
So it gets around. It's kind of like a neutral. It's not like a super straight, but it's not turned down.
It's neutral. Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
What were you gonna say, Taylor?
I was gonna say the weight. To me, isn't a major flaw in this, because you were talking about like 2 to 4 minor flaws or 1 major flaw, and I think you were going to talk about like the weight. But to me, the weight isn't a major flaw because it was never like issued in like combat. So, in my opinion, this is just more of like a military style target rifle.
And I will jump on top of that, Taylor, because that is the exact point I was going to make. The weight is not an issue for this, and I was not going to dog it for the weight, even though I brought it up. It does weigh a shitload. But this rifle was designed for use in bunkers to shoot at people as they try to climb up the fucking mountains.
Right.
It was designed to be propped up on a wall and be a fucking sniper rifle, essentially, for the average soldier. It was not designed to be lugged around. That's why it weighs a shitload. That's why it has a free-floated barrel. That's why they use match-grade ammunition. It's not a rifle to be taken out and march across a country with. It's a rifle that they needed it for, which is to sit in a bunker and shoot people coming up the mountain.
Right.
Which is why I give it a B. I like the design. I like the everything about it. It's high quality, and I've asked this question before to people. Jared, what do you think will happen to that free-floated barrel once you try to stab somebody with the bayonet?
Oof.
Nothing.
Nothing's going to happen?
Barrel's made of steel, buddy. If you can bend a steel barrel, you're more of a man than I am.
You're not going to fuck up anything in that stock, you don't think?
No. I don't think so. Because they did bayonet drills with those rifles.
I mean, yeah, surely they designed it with that in mind, and I know that, but I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it's just not a rifle you're going to carry across the country. It's not what it was designed to do. It's not what Switzerland's plans were. That's why they have 30 million bunkers hidden in the fucking mountains.
I get where you're coming from, Aaron. I'm more of like a practical, how is it going to be used? Is it kind of more durable? Is it? But there's pros and cons to each, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think you're going to bend the steel, so to speak. But yeah, free floated barrel with something hanging off the end of it, and then if you're constantly jabbing something or if it gets banged on something, I wouldn't say it's going to affect it much, but over time it could, definitely. And the fact that these guns weren't used hard and they are in great condition kind of speaks to that.
I would like to see somebody mud test one.
Ooh.
So here's the thing about your barrel thing, though, right? It's not a pencil barrel.
Okay.
Oh, it's thick.
It's thick barrel. That's the reason why nothing really is going to happen to it. Now, if it was like a pencil barrel on different rifles, like you ever see someone shoot an AK in slow motion?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
You can watch the barrel move up and down, like flex all over the place like a noodle.
It's
like,
great.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Enfields are like that. I think Enfields are like that. They have a thinner profile barrel, but it's okay. They work just fine. It's just one of them, like you have to associate the fact that you have a thicker barrel.
Okay.
Good point.
It does also contribute to the weight as well, obviously.
It does. That was the reason I was bringing it up, was they chose to add weight to give a heavier profile barrel to make it do better, for what their doctrine was.
Yes. Yeah, and it is their doctrine. I'm not just being like a fucktard here. Yeah. That is actually the Swiss doctrine, is they had no plans to invade other countries. It was all about home defense.
Yeah, when I judge it, I don't try to judge it based on what was the gun's intended purpose. I try to just, like, if there was just a dude going to war for whatever side and he was given this gun, for whatever usage, how good would it be? And like I said, I'm still kind of torn between like an A or B, because
I'm firmly in the B category in terms of what you're describing.
It's a little too long and it's a little too heavy. If it was a little shorter, like if it was like more, 23-inch barrel length or something like that, I would be like a hard A probably. It's a good cartridge. It's not as harsh recoiling. Maybe it's like 8mm. Yeah, either 8x56 or 8mm Mauser.
No recoil in these.
Yeah, it's not bad. The ejection of K31s though. Have you guys shot them and like been hit in the head repeatedly?
Yeah, they go straight fucking up.
Straight up.
One cut me one time, like in my forehead.
Oof.
Yeah, it just goes straight up.
Yeah, they do. They just eject straight up, and they'll just hit you in the head, hit you in the forehead. So that's kind of a minor flaw maybe about it, but it was intentional. So is it a flaw if it's a?
I don't know why would they design it intentionally to shoot them straight up in the air.
It's how the ejection port works in a rifle. Because there's no side cut in the side of the rifle to allow the ejector to be on the side.
Yeah.
So it has to throw them up due to the breach.
I wonder if they were they taught to like tilt it to the side when they work the action. I don't know, but
you would lose sight picture doing that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I just yank them back. Remember, you're not always going to be shooting undercover.
Yeah, I guess they had helmets and stuff, but like just shooting them, like.
Oh yeah,
without a hat on or anything. It'll get you.
You're shooting with a helmet potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, you're wearing a helmet. You're going to want a helmet.
Nobody's talked about the beautiful safety. I
thought of that.
That safety is probably a flaw. I would say that's a flaw.
Really? It's the easiest safety of all time forever. You grab onto it.
Obviously, the Mosin safety is the easiest safety.
Yeah, I mean, Mauser safety is awesome, and I love Mausers, but you can do it with you can wear gloves and yank it and turn it, and it's on, and there's no is it on, is it not on? That bitch is on or is off. Period.
It's a good point. I've just never been a huge fan of the safety on it. I just don't. I mean, I guess it does its job, and it's very obvious, and it really does. In the middle of the night when you do it,
you would know too, right?
Yeah, but it's also you say like an infield safety or like a 1917 safety, that's like a nice a flick of the thumb and your safety is off, and you can feel when it's on, if it's on.
I think with the Enfield safety, that kind of design, it was more meant for combat. I feel like with this, it's just you're shooting at targets and you could just pull it and turn it and it'll be fine. That's that's the biggest difference I see in what you. In my opinion.
That's a good point, Taylor. Yeah, the Swiss K31 safety is probably superior in a target gun, where you want everybody's guns on the line. You want that whole thing turned over, and you want to see that. Whereas something like an Enfield safety is a little bit more of a combat rifle design.
Right. Range officer can look down and be like, Carl, why is your safety not on? It's on. Bullshit.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
We'll move on. I think a lot of people were expecting me to give a lot of shit to the K31, I bet, but I don't hate them. I just don't care for them.
you're saying in one of the earlier podcasts is one of the reasons why I have it where it is. It's so good, it's boring.
And I will never live that statement down.
I can see that.
And I have clarified myself multiple times,
Hey,
but I will
No.
never live it down.
Can't clear yourself out of that.
I do find it boring, and it probably has more to do with the neutrality aspect of it again. If I'm gonna try to clarify myself again, but I just don't care for it.
damn neutrals, you never know where they stand.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just like guns that like seen some shit. That's how I describe it. So like, yeah, neutral countries don't really do it for me much.
Oh man, now we're gonna get into some seen some shit rifles then. So now we're moving into the Carcano 9138. Now this one is a vast departure in terms of length, weight.
Yeah.
From
And
anything else.
I think we should start off different. Oh my gosh, I've had too much to drink. Differentiating this from the M38
Yes.
Carcano, which is the 735.
Yeah.
version.
So the M38 Carcano is the same rifle, but it is in the 7.35 millimeter version that they attempted to switch to in the middle of the war. They decided that was a terrible idea, mostly because they couldn't get the 7.35 made fast enough. So in the middle of the war, they switched back and made all kinds of fucking logistical hell for people in Italy. We'll not talk about the Japanese and logistics, but the 9138 is a new production, and also they did some conversions as well of the model 1938 short rifle in 6.5 millimeter, and they also can be found in 8 millimeter. We're not sure who did that. Somebody may.
I think a few different people did.
Yeah, but it seems like some people say Germany, some people say it was post-war. It's like whatever. But anyway, we're talking about the 6.5. It is a short boy and a light boy. This is, I would say, carbine length. Would
It's
you guys
carbine.
agree?
Yeah.
It's listed as a short rifle in terms of Italy's nomenclature. But it is definitely carbine linked. It is small. It is straight stock, underslung, and underslung only. Split bridge, Carcano action with the unidirectional, bidirectional 6.5 millimeter clips. Hole in the bottom. Sights are a fixed sight. You have one
Setting.
and it
stuck
is
there.
setting. It is just literally a notch cut into a thing that sits on the barrel. That's it. That's your sight. So it is what I would call a very simple design in terms of a rifle. I'll go first this time. I don't have any experience with these, but what I'm going to go with on this is a C. It has a lot of flaws that we have already discussed with the hole in the magazine. A fixed sight is obviously a cost-cutting measure, and it's just a laughable principle in terms of any kind of accuracy beyond whatever the original setting is. Carcano action does get a lot of hate. I don't think it's that terrible. I have shot a couple of Carcanos before, but I have not shot one of these particular rifles before. So I don't think it's that bad, but I will say it's a C for overall. Danny, you go next.
Yeah, I think it gets the action, the bad rap from the guys that like go into the gun shops or gun shows or whatever and kind of like mess with the action, because when you work the Carcano action, it feels like something's off, doesn't quite feel right, and then it's very crude and simplistic looking.
We went from the K31 tight tolerances to the Italian, whatever the fuck, it works.
Yeah, which, Thias is he's a pretty big defender of it because it is simple. Now, I would say that like a lot of the criticisms of the Carcano are probably better placed on the Mosin action, where people they'd say like the Mosin is, rugged and it's meant to be reliable, rugged, simplistic action, where it's like really kind of none of those. But I think the Carcano action is very simplistic, and I think it's like accidentally sort of like rugged just because of that simplistic design and everything.
Yeah.
The extractor is not like, huge and, beefy sort of thing like it is like on a Mauser or something like that. But, I watched Ian's video a long time ago. He talked about the M38, and caliber aside, like there are a lot of kind of good things about the 9130 on paper. It is a short, light, handy little carbine with a side sling attachment point. It's in 6.5. It holds 6 rounds of a 6.5 cartridge that can be loaded very fast with a little packet. So I give it a B because I think it's just it's got it's a hole in the magazine.
The fixed rear sight.
Yeah, the fixed rear sight, but then again, it's like, what was the intended purpose, right? Like we can judge like the Swiss K31 because it's long and heavy, but hey, it was meant to be a target, gun. Like they were meant to sit up in a mountain and shoot down. But like the 9138 is like you're going into combat and you're gonna see a guy and you're gonna shoot at that guy with your very flat shooting cartridge that has a nice point blank range.
Definitely.
You don't necessarily need all the crazy things because you aim at the guy's belt buckle, whether or not he's 100 yards away or 300 yards away or whatever. You shoot at the same point, and you're gonna hit center of mass onto that person, right? And that's with an infantry rifle, realistically in combat, like that's it, and it does that. But yeah, light handy gun, which with the 6.5 cartridge isn't bad, but if you're shooting old, used multiple times, kind of, in block clips, you're probably going to get some feeding issues. I think that tends to happen with those. So it can have feeding issues, like in Ian's video, because he had one video where he talked it up. He talked the M30 up a lot, and then he went out and shot it in a match, and it had problems after problems. So a gun can look really good on paper, and then you take it out and try to use it, and then you can have issues. So I give it a B.
Jared.
So I want to add on to something that Danny said, and I think a lot of people don't realize it. A belt buckle is not where Americans wear their belts. It's higher.
Yeah, good point.
So no one mentions that ever, and people get messed up on it. Like, well, you're aiming for like the middle of the guy. No, you're aiming for the middle of the torso.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. All right, I went with a C. It's the only C I have because C is for Carcano. And
we're learning the alphabet with Jared.
Yeah, we're learning the alphabet. Yep. So honestly, the main reasons I did is because it's a good rifle for the Italians, and I understand everyone's point as far as it being a good rifle for what they could make. I'm not disputing that. That is correct. The main thing that I don't like about the rifle, and that I take a lot back, aside from the magazine system, is the round itself. It's a bottlenose round in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Good point, yeah.
Like, we're way past the point where we should be shooting bottlenose rounds. This is not 1895 anymore. Like, this is 1945, and we're still shooting bottlenose ammunition.
Yeah, and that's something that I saw too. Is that a guy was like, this action gets maligned a lot for having its issues, but then you're using an ammunition that was designed, 40 years, 50 years ago.
Right, and it's not changed at all.
Well, can I ask a question on that? For the intended shooting distance that they were going for, especially with the fixed sights, was there much of a difference between, let's just say, bottlenose cartridge versus Spitzer?
This smartass in me says that the Swiss actually bolted a plate, or the Swedish actually bolted a plate to the side of the rifle because it was that much different.
Okay.
And that's true. And M38s actually had a plate on the side that would, like, if your sight setting is at here, you're actually shooting at here. So there actually is a big difference in velocity. And and then you also get into like terminal ballistics and stuff. It doesn't matter. So the answer is yes. And they never actually developed a 6.5 Carcano Spitzer round that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, of course, but it definitely was never had a rifle produced in one. The M38s in 7.35 were a Spitzer bullet.
Yeah.
So keep like on top of everything that everyone's going to beat to death. Like, I'm not going to beat the rifle to death. It's decent for what it is, but it used a bottlenose round.
Held back by the ammunition.
To me, that's the
That's
main
an important thing.
Yeah, that's my main reason, aside from like hole in the mag and the gritty feeling when you close them, because it has one spring that does 6 things, but it also has one spring that does 6 things, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to me, the main one is bottlenose ammo.
Yeah. Taylor?
I didn't really know much about this gun before I went into it, but I'm going to give this one, much like the Kennedy motorcade, the middle of the road. I'm surprised nobody made a Kennedy joke
I was
yet.
waiting. I was waiting.
I was like, God, yes, nobody made a joke.
I was going to make one, but I was like, I'll wait till the end to see if anybody does one. This is the design.
Yes.
The M9138 is what Kennedy was shot with.
Allegedly.
Not all of the boomer jokes of any fucking Carcano post ever anywhere where they're like, is this the one that Kennedy was shot with?
Yeah, no, the 1891 38. Glad I made the joke. I got that out there. All right, we can move on. To me, this is going to be, I don't think it's low end. And, the ammunition, the point about the ammunition is very important. I don't think, though, that bumps it down into low end for me. I think the gun has a lot of great features. And like Danny said, the Ian video that was put out about it, where he's like, I think this is the best of World War II. I don't think it's the best, but I think just where I stand in my opinions and kind of like my philosophy, things like, for example, like I'm a huge AK guy. And yeah, I know we could, debate AKs or whatever all day. But to me, it has just very combat effective features. The bayonet could just fold back and stay on the gun. So it's not another thing you have to carry on you or take off your belt, or just another thing that could get dropped and lost. The hole in the bottom of the magazine, we know that. That's kind of why it's also in the bottom of the middle of the road. I don't mind the fixed sights personally. I think that a lot of times, if you're trying to fiddle moving a sight forward and back, oftentimes soldiers don't really do that. They kind of know a holdover for a certain distance, and they just kind of Kentucky windage it anyway. So having a fixed sight, in my opinion, isn't the worst thing. And then I think the bolt or the action on it is a lot more simple compared to, like somebody mentioned earlier, 9130 Mosin. I think that the design, the action on this is much better than the 9130. But I mean, to me, it just seems like a very, all right, we got to make a gun that's just going to just shoot and just basically kill people, which all firearms are designed to do technically. I just think that this one, in a more rugged combat sense, it would be very effective of that. And I think even with the K31, it's like, oh, it's so good, it's boring. Well, this isn't boring. This is, meant to do some work. So that's why it's a middle of the road gun for me. I don't think it stands out above the rest, but it's kind of on the lower end of middle of the road. And that ammunition point about the 6.5 bottlenose, that kind of put it on the lower end for me of middle of the road. So that's gonna be a B for me, lower end of B.
Fair enough. Anybody got any final points on the Carcano? We're kind of getting into the top tier stuff here, guys.
Ooh.
The big boys in terms of production numbers.
Yeah, we'll move on. We probably should. We're only like halfway.
No, we're not. We're no more than halfway.
Yeah, you're past half. We're doing good.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Score too, like.
It's Friday night, gentlemen. Let's party.
All right. We'll move on to the next one, which we got to the first of the millions. By the way, the Carcano was at 660,000 produced.
Okay.
That particular model, I'm not going all Carcanos. That's around 3.3 million. The next one is our French rifle, the French Moss 36, produced pre-war, but not during enough production before the war to actually make an impact in World War II. We have a weird design split of old ideas and new ideas. with a side slung only stock, a semi-pistol grip, a extremely strange bolt handle that, as the best I can describe it, it's bent forward and down. I don't know if is that a dog leg? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard it called.
It's got one of the weirdest bolt handles in the group here. If we're talking about simplistic designs in terms of manufacturability, like the Carcano was, this is also in that regard. It is supposed to be simple and easy to produce, but wasn't much of a factor in World War II, unfortunately. I don't have any experience with one of these. Does anyone else have more experience?
I don't.
I bought Danny's.
Oh, okay. So would you like to discuss it first, Jared?
I can. I don't know that much about it other than I bought Danny's.
Well, what's your opinion on it? Let's get your opinion.
I have it as A, but hear me out. So the one that I bought is actually like relatively nice. It's excellent condition. So it uses a rimless round. It's 7.5 French.
Oh yes, that's right. I'm sorry, 7.5 French.
Yep. So that's good. It's very simple. It's the rear sight on it is elevation adjustable, but not windage adjustable. There is no windage adjustment for the rifle.
Oh, and it is an aperture sight. I'm screwing this up.
Yeah,
It's our first aperture sight on the list.
Yep, and it's only adjustable by the armorer. They changed the rear sight leaf out, and it has different holes like in it to adjust for windage. So the sight picture on it's good. The front sight's really big. It's a very, very big combat sight. It's rear locking lugs instead of front. If that matters to some people, I know that matters to Danny.
He's gonna bring it up.
Oh, I know he is. 5 rounds. I don't know. To me, it was a good rifle. It did see combat in Vietnam and other, as well.
France had a lot of, for those that, especially United States people listening that don't have a whole lot of history of the world.
Yeah.
France did a lot of shit in Indochina post World War II.
Thank you. Yeah. I couldn't think of what it was called. Laos and Vietnam. It was Indochina.
Yeah. That France didn't really stop being in war for a while after World War II. They kind of continued that shit.
Yeah. It's a combat proven rifle. They made different ones where they put grenade attachments on them, so they are good enough to, even though it's a 2-piece stock, it's good enough to take the recoil of rifle grenades, which is a lot of recoil.
France and their rifle grenades.
Yeah. I felt like it was a decent rifle that didn't have a whole lot wrong with it, other than it does have some weird design things. Like the bolt is a goofy design, but if you run the bolt, you actually it's not that bad. Like it looks like it should be bad, but you can throw that bolt forward and it'll close every time. It is actually kind of weird. And the bolt disassembly, I know we haven't really got into a lot of like mechanics and stuff like that, but the bolt disassembly is actually really easy too. So it's very well thought out. It's just goofy looking.
All right,
in my opinion.
Danny, since it was yours.
I sold Jared my post-war one when I bought a pre-war Moss 36. And there's a slight difference in a couple little features of the two. The pre-wars are they have an open top front sight where they just have the wings, where the post-war ones, they all have like a sight hood that goes around them. I gave the Moss 36 a B. Now I did a video on the Moss 36 and the title was Mediocrity at its Finest. And I didn't mean
you got
that.
So much fucking hate for that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like a very critical sounding title. Like it's a mediocre rifle, but like a really good mediocre rifle. You know what I mean? This is it's kind of like a B plus. There's issues. The gun was never meant to be like a frontline battle rifle. You know what I mean? Like it was a sort of stopgap gun.
Because they were supposed to have a semi-auto rifle, right?
Yeah, the semi-auto rifle was supposed to be their frontline. That was supposed to be their frontline rifle. It wasn't supposed to be the Moss 36. It was a backup sort of gun. So and we understand that kind of now, but it was really put into a lot of frontline and roles during kind of limitedly because there wasn't that many of them during World War II, but then after the war Moss 36 were used by the French and in Indochina and Algeria, so it's a little bit, it got more usage than it probably should have, being a bolt action. And I don't think, because it was kind of in their mind it was destined for this rear echelon usage, they didn't necessarily give it a whole lot of features. So it has rear locking lugs. It's like, why wouldn't you put front locking lugs on a gun? Because like most bolts that are designed in the smokeless era have front locking lugs because it needs it for the strength. But at least it was designed to use a smokeless cartridge and have rear locking lugs. It's like there's nothing about it that stands out as being like bad. It's slightly shorter than a short rifle. It's shorter than the K98K, which is good. It has like the built-in bayonet, which is kind of like a neat feature because it's always on the gun. You don't have to worry about somebody losing it, but it adds weight out front of the gun, which I don't like. Mm-hmm. Like if you hold a Moss 36, like a kind of shoulder it and everything, and then take the bayonet off of it and just like set it on the ground and then handle it without the bayonet, it's like that helps the handling characteristics of the gun a lot. So like if it didn't have that bayonet, I would like it even more. But the sights are decent, but it's not windage adjustable. They just decided you shouldn't be able to do that. Which you can argue the merits of that, but I just think if a gun will let you, it's a pro.
It's a very French thing. You ever notice that? Like they don't want you to touch stuff.
Yeah, don't take the stock off. Don't mess with your sight.
Just
don't
do
touch
that.
it.
Yeah, don't touch it. What about this guy? Leave it alone. Don't touch it. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's not that weird when you look at the context, though. If you don't want your soldiers that are not necessarily trained in this kind of stuff. That means they can eliminate training on it. It does mean that you have to rely on a field armorer, but like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like you wouldn't want, in terms, let's switch countries to Russia and say like you want a conscript that barely knows how to write something or doesn't know how to write. You don't want them field stripping a gun necessarily. So like I kind of understand the French's idea of like, yeah, we don't necessarily want our soldiers doing this. So we don't want them fucking something up.
Your average French soldier is not like a Russian conscript.
No. I understand. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but the idea being that the French hierarchy would be like, I don't want the soldiers on the ground to be able to do this because I would rather have a field armorer do that.
Yeah.
Somebody trained in it.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm defending their idea.
Yeah. I'd like in the no safety thing, I don't like that.
Oh, I was going to bring it up.
It was French doctrine. They just carried it without one on the chain. It's like, okay, but a safety
it doesn't have a safety.
Yeah, like a safety is a decent feature on a gun. And the gun is just, it's lacking in features. Like, so it's a mediocre gun done pretty good. Like, I think the gun's tall. Like, it's too tall. From the bottom of the magazine up to the top of the rear sight, I think it's too tall.
It is very tall.
But it's, so it's kind of like a weirdly shaped, because it's thin.
It's like
a
blocky.
Thin gun. But yeah, it is very blocky.
It's like if you asked a child to draw a rifle.
Or make a rifle out of Legos. It is tall and blocky and weird shape. But it's a B. It's not a terrible gun. It's middle of the road. It's mediocrity at its finest.
Taylor?
I'm going to say this is an A. And I have just a few reasons. I like a lot of post-war, Cold War stuff. So the Moss 36 had just so much to do with a lot of the guerrilla conflicts in former French colonies. Even all the way up to like the Syrian Civil War. I mean, it's used sporadically, much like, let's just say, in SKSs. They're just everywhere just because of France's global influence. Also, the rear locking lugs, to me, isn't the biggest of deals if it's designed for it. Like, I watched Danny's video to kind of just freshen up on this. And, like you said, it's like it's a holdover from a black powder era, but if the gun's designed around it and it's capable of it, it's not the end of the world. Also, just a side note, the French took that design and made like the FRF1 sniper rifles out of that. They reused like the bolt design in that. So it's a really effective design. It's simple. The gun is very rugged. It's blocky, yeah, but to me, just for its length of usage of history, if it was a middle of the road gun, or if it was like a bad gun, I mean, yeah, it probably would have been used in some conflicts, but to me, just the service history of it kind of just speaks that it is a simple, durable, rugged gun. And yeah, it's French. It's weird. Like that's just what it is. Anything French, we've kind of just grown to expect to be weird. So to me, if I had to, I guess, say like a flaw, even though I do think that non-adjustable sights are good in some ways, I think maybe they could have put a little bit more effort into that, but that would just be, maybe a flaw, I guess, if I had to pick one. But to me, it would definitely get an A in my book. Like I said, I'm just tend to be more combat focused, and just because of its whole service history, and it's still being used, like it's like kind of like a cockroach, like the SKS kind of is, I suppose. To me, this is like, way better than a Mosin in terms of like the cockroach guns of the world that just will be everywhere. But and I happen to think that the getting into like other things we were talking about, like the caliber, I think the caliber 7.5 French is just an effective cartridge as well for what it is.
All right.
I just think it's bullshit that they didn't consider the American shooter 40 or 50 years later. That's all.
And I'm gonna put this as a B. I don't have any experience hands-on with one of these. I'm just looking at one. It's interesting looking. It's definitely like it's one of those ones where you can go, oh yeah, that's a Moss 36. Like you don't have any kind of like which Carcano version is this? Like, that kind of thing, or whatever, infield, whatever. It's a unique style and look to it that is definitely instantly recognizable. I noticed. Did anybody talk about the aperture? It's the only sights we've had so far with apertures.
Yeah, I did.
You did. Okay.
Yep.
So, which we have a couple more coming up, but this is the first one on the list with aperture. And also, nobody brought up, well, one of the biggest flaw, obviously, is that you could take the bayonets out and put two guns together.
On early rifles, the later ones have a button. There's a hole drilled in them.
It's almost like
you can put them together, but the hole that lets you take them apart.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like it happened.
Oh, it definitely happened.
I think they call that docking. Sorry.
Anyway, I say it's B, middle of the road, and we'll move on because we've got some more. We've got a couple more we need to get through to get this done, and we're already over 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So that was the Moss 36. We're gonna move into the
Springfield.
The USA Springfield 1903 A3.
The rifle that needs no introduction.
Oh, I was writing something down. It is surprisingly, and I just had blanked on my head on this. I forgot it was a straight stock. It is not semi-pistol grip.
It's both. You can have a scant stock.
I'm sorry. I was talking about the A3, not the scant stock.
Oh.
We were very clear.
Yeah. We were specific on exactly which model that I decided to die on the hill about.
All right. It's the 1903 A3. It is underslung. It is straight stock, or if you have scant stock, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. Aperture sights, turn down bolt. It's in 30-06. Front sight protectors. What can I say? If you're an American collector, you've heard of one of these. If you've not owned one, you've at least played video games with them in there. It's a very well-known gun in America. What else can I say about it? Aperture sights. 3 million made of the A3.
It was like weird because it came so late.
Yes, it was a very late. It's the latest production, large production design change that we have. And we wanted to include obviously something American. And it was 41, I believe, when this was adopted.
Sounds right.
The A3 was adopted. Yeah, I looked it up. It was 1941 when it was adopted as a style, as the designation. So it is a very late addition to our list here. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give it an A. I like the style. I like the look. Cartridge. I've not. I can't say I can. I can't give it an S because I don't know the sights. I haven't seen it personally. I don't like a turn down bolt handle. So I also wouldn't give it an S necessarily unless I got to shoot it myself. Side slung doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I'm gonna give this an A. Taylor, you're next.
For me, this is an easy A. It's a great gun. 30-06 is great. Aperture sight is great. Everyone knows what a 1903 is, and that's just, to me, it's just an A.
Jared.
It's a Mauser, so that's an S gun.
Ooh.
And yeah, I did that on purpose.
I forgot the Mauser. Fucking, I was gonna wait for him to do that again. Damn it.
Yep,
It's
a Mauser. It has. They actually have a really goofy rear. They have a third lug on the bolt, which goes, but it's still not a split bridge because it has the gap over the split, so it's not a split bridge. It's kind of a holdover. It still has some weird features like the mag cutoff, but who cares? You just leave it off. 5 rounds, 30-06. 30-06 is an amazing caliber. I like the sights. Sights are great. You can really shoot good with aperture sights. I had a thought on it and it just totally disappeared. You never have to worry about the early production number receivers that people love to always bring up with 03s. Like, oh, it's an 03. It's an 03 A3, go away. Like, you never have to mess with stuff like that. There are the production ones that are made by a different company that are supposed to be kind of sucky, and I can't remember what that company is called.
The civilian ones?
Yeah, they're civilian ones.
National something?
Oh,
yeah,
National. Yeah, National. That's what it is.
Yeah, if you want one, you can either get the Smith Coronas or the Remingtons. Those are the good ones. And some of them actually had 2-groove rifling. They had 2 grooves in the barrel. That's it.
Dang.
And then some of the Smith Coronas, I think, had like 6. So they had this really weird, different range about them. But I love the 03 A3. So.
Oh, and you just brought up rifling. I forgot to mention going back to the Carcano real fast. It does not have gain twist. So that's a thing that we didn't bring up. So it's actually a fixed twist rifle versus gain twist.
I did not know that.
So yeah, that's
I feel like
they were basically the 1938 with the 7.35 and the fixed twist. They were basically like throwing the whole idea of the original Carcano out, and they decided in the middle of the war that was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh fuck, we'll go back. Anyway, back to the 1903. Danny.
Yeah, it's funny. I had one and I sold it because I don't like it. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me.
It's because it's too good, Danny.
Yeah,
but I still give it an A, even though I don't really like it.
It's too
because
good.
I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything super wrong except no side sling. I think that's really its like biggest detractor. Straight wrist stock. It's not a great stock.
I mean, you can kind of. I would allow a scan stock. It's not technically a separate designation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because,
so I mean,
because we also allowed the Swedish M38 with the bunt and the straight bolt because they're not technically separate designations. So like you can get rid of one of your complaints, I guess, in terms of the straight stock.
Yeah, mine had had the scant stock in it, which the scant stock is like it's like a semi pistol grip because it's not quite a full pistol grip like the C stock. It's not a C stock because they couldn't give it that full semi pistol grip with the blank, like the blanks for the regular straight wrist stocks weren't big enough to give it a semi pistol grip. So the scant was just kind of like trying to give it one with as much wood as it has. There's a joke in there somewhere, but
it's got a little bit of a bump, a wood bump.
Yes, it just has a little bit of wood bump in your hand. That's not quite a full semi, full semi pistol grip. I mean,
Full
so
semi
it's
what? Sorry.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, it's a rifle that it doesn't really do it for me, but it's hard. Like, it doesn't have a lot of flaws except for no sight sling and no semi pistol grip and the original one. But there's the, you know.
Well, and they blow up too.
Oh yeah, low serial number blow up. Yeah.
I was waiting for Jared to say something on that, but anyway.
I was good. I know where your joke's at.
Well, you know all of my jokes. All right. That's the 1903. I think we all gave it an A.
Yeah.
I had an
For
S.
Jared to
Oh,
get
Jared have an S.
Yeah, it's a Mauser.
True.
All right, so we'll move on to the Japanese Type 99. With 3.5 million produced. We have a lot of features, early rifles, and as we get onto the war, those features go away. So we have the first rifle on our list with a dust cover, and only rifle actually with a production dust cover from the factory, I believe. We have a monopod. We have, when talking early rifles, we have anti-aircraft sights, which is cute. We have a semi-pistol grip stock. We have it in 7.7 Japanese, which is pretty much 303 British.
3 British rimless.
Yeah, it's 303 rimless.
Yes. And it is... Danny said to me, and I have not seen one of these personally, I've only seen the Type 38s in real life, it's a ladder aperture sight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It is. It is a ladder aperture. All right. And it has a very unique safety knob compared to almost all the other designs we've looked at so far. It is a two-piece stock, well-known thing. Obviously, the stock's broken. Can I make any more jokes? Oh, they blow up. Oh, they do have front sight protectors. Not as beefy as some of the other ones that are on our list, but they are there.
The early ones do. The late ones don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can see it both ways.
We will say that a lot of the features that I've listed, as you go on, a lot of those go away.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
This is almost
almost every one of them.
I will say though, this is the rifle that we have here with a prominent vent hole, a venting feature for a ruptured case. So I don't think any other ones on our list have that. Oh wait, the Vergero does. They drilled a hole in there for that.
Yeah. Which I always thought it's kind of silly on an Arisaka because they seal it up with the dust cover and then drill a hole right to the most.
I thought the same thing.
It is side slung as well, which is Danny's preferred, and it is a straight bolt handle, but it is a weird bolt handle. It is more of a egg versus a knob, and it's stubby. We'll do Danny first, I guess.
Yay. It's a similar thing with the 1903 A3 where there's not a whole lot of flaws with the gun, even though there's some things that I don't necessarily like personal preference wise. I think it's an A because I'm thinking through it and it's okay, right? It's got it's a simplified Mauser action.
Thank you.
So arguably, it's it's a better and/or stronger action. So it's very strong. I think early on they were chrome lined.
Yep.
Chrome line. Yeah. Bores, which is what other gun has that? In World War II, of all these ones we're talking about. It's it's a weird aperture sight because it's not like a traditional target aperture sight. It's like a combat aperture sight. 9-hole reviews kind of said it best with that gun, where it's it's not for super precise shooting, but it is really good for just kind of quick acquisition sort of shooting. It's kind of similar with the Madsen. Now that I think about it. The Madsen's kind of got the aperture in a similar place.
Yeah, this is an example of an aperture that's behind the action, behind the barrel versus in front of it.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest fault with the Type 99 is that it has too many features. Now, if you the funny thing is like if you lay down, so if you take a 99 that has the monopod, and if you lay down on your stomach with it and aim it, and then flip the monopod down, it is kind of the perfect length for shooting prone. Which it kind of looks like it'd be too long or something, but it's you know, I don't know. Does it add a lot of weight and whatever maybe, but like it's neat. Yeah, the AA sights apparently I heard somebody say, and I don't know if it's documented, that the AA sights on the 99s actually did influence the Chinese pilots of the planes. Because like the AA sights, people tend to look at the AA sights on the 99 and be like, that's ridiculous. Can you imagine, a Japanese soldier shooting at a, P-51 Mustang with a bolt action? Ha! And it's like, yeah, well,
they were flying biplanes and like pea shooters, like actual P-26 pea shooters. They were not flying Mustangs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was meant to shoot.
A lot of people don't realize that the Japanese World War II started in the mid-30s or early 30s.
Yeah, and planes back then were still made of fabric wings and
against
wood
China. And Korea, I guess.
And it's and it's not. We think about it from individual marksman perspective still in the United States, but like no, this was like a lot of dudes all with 99s, all shooting at a plane with this. When you have a big mass group of people all shooting, at the same time, that kind of gives you like this volley fire sort of machine gun effect, towards a plane. And so, and the dust cover is nice. It's a great feature as far as sealing up the gun, but with the little vent hole in the receiver, does it like negate it? I don't know. It's probably still better than nothing, but it's weird. Like its flaw is probably that it has too many features, but overall it's a solid gun.
All right, Jared.
So I have it at A because even though it is a Mauser, and it's not, it's close. I don't like the sight. I have one because it's an aperture sight, but it's a barley corn in the front. So you're looking through a circle at a triangle, and it's weird. And that's just
a personal preference kind of thing.
Right. So, like, the round is good. You can make it out of 30-06. Like, it's the round is good. The rifle is good. Like, the early ones are better than the later ones, but the later ones still work. Like, that's the thing that I can't stand is like, they all blow up. They wouldn't make a gun that blows up on their own dudes. What idiot would make a gun that blows up on his own people?
Obviously, the Japanese.
Yeah, like no one. Like you guys
they designed a pistol for surrendering.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Obviously, the Japanese that are known for being the most dumb country in the world.
Yeah,
they would be the ones to do that because obviously everybody knows the Japanese are stupid.
Yeah, it's I can't stand that shit. But to me, the major thing that I cannot get behind is the fact that you're looking through a circle at a triangle. And I'm okay with barley corn sights. Like I'm okay with normal, inverted V and then the barley corn in the front. Like I can pick that up and shoot all day long. But I could not figure out a circle and a triangle.
Here's the question though. Could you hit a man-sized target? 100 yards around.
Aiming at the belt buckle, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, anyway. I could hit a man-sized target at
Taylor.
Yeah.
I really wanted to give this an S, but the more I sat down and think about it, I have a Type 99. It's just for transparency, slightly sporterized. Somebody obviously well before me bent the bolt handle down and kind of flattened it a little bit. So I'm not going to talk about like bent or straight bolt handles on this. I wanted to give it an S, but my one thing is, as obviously the war went on and they changed so many, they removed all the features that, maybe were frivolous at first, like the monopod. Yeah, it's cool, but it's not really necessary. They started just removing features. So if you're talking about one rifle through its iteration that just went from like something really, thought out, a lot of stuff on it, to like last ditch, where it's still a great gun. you know, it's strong, it's not going to blow up on you, but it's now lacking some of the finer features. You could say somewhat in the middle, in the middle of that. To me, it gets an A. Also, for people who are wondering about the anti-aircraft sights, Othias put out a video on how they work, and it's actually pretty cool. Like it uses, like, you could estimate the speed of the plane based on, like, you know, and line it up. I forget exactly how it is, but it's measured in like something similar to like nautical knots in a sense. I forget the exact what it is. It's escaping me right now, but just you could look it up. People listening could look it up. The barleycorn front sight through the aperture, it's not as bad as, I mean, in my opinion, like when I shoot mine, it kind of just like makes me focus on the triangle, which obviously is the point of an aperture, but you get kind of used to it. It's more just, it points my eye to what the target is, as opposed to like with a post front sight, you just kind of have to like keep it there. This just kind of is like, all right, muzzle here. Like that's how I see it when I shoot mine. And then the ammo that I shoot through mine, it's just various hand loads and other things. So I can't really speak to like ballistics about it. I think the 7.7, like you said, is just, you know, rimless 303. It's a good round. I think the rimless aspects of it helps a lot. I really like the Arisakas, and I think now like everyone just knows, like they're just, people are wanting them all of a sudden. Like the past, I don't know, 2 years, prices have been going up on them, and everyone just wants them because they're realizing now, hey, this undervalued and underappreciated gun is really awesome, and there's a lot of different variations, just, you know, collecting. But to me, I'm going to give this an A, just because, like I said, just very big disparity in quality and features throughout the rifle's iteration.
Did we all agree?
Actually, yeah, I put it as an A as well. I want to give it an S.
Same.
I want to give it an S, but I have not shot one. I've not had the experience that Jared is talking about with the front sight, so I cannot, in good conscience, give it an S. Same as I said about the Springfield, is that I've not shot one, so I don't feel like I can give it an S unless I have first-hand experience with it. But like everybody else has said, I have a hard time finding a flaw. Like I just have a hard time finding a flaw with this. Like it's really a really well, like they really thought this out. So
Yeah.
like I really have a hard time finding a flaw with it. But like everybody else said, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna repeat myself anymore. It's an S. It's an S in my heart.
Yeah,
An A in terms of practicality, I guess.
I agree with that. That's kind of how I feel too.
All right, we'll move on to the next one, which everybody's gonna throw a friggin' meme at me about. The M95-30, the Austrian M95-30. Everybody, the best rifle in the war. We all know it, and we're moving on. All right, memes aside. All right, the Austrian M95-30. It is considered a short rifle in the Austrian terms, but it is actually a carbine. It's another one that's actually shorter than a lot of the other ones on this list. This is a rework design from the M95 long rifles. So we have holdovers from a design from 1895. So we'll go through the stuff again. Semi-pistol grip, side slung and underslung. Danny's loves that side slung right in the wrist. Right, Danny? It's the best spot for it.
Oh, that's the best.
I'm a lefty. I can't
Right
even
where
shoot
your
it.
right where your hand goes, you
Yeah.
need just like a bunch of stuff in your way.
Anyway, it is a ladder rear sight, so once again another holdover. Now this is something that I would like to make clear. From the factory, from the Austrian rework of these, they did have front sight protectors, but Bulgaria took them off. So most of the ones that you find in the U.S. do not have them, but they do have front sight protectors originally, and they are very large sight protectors. So anyway, it is a straight pull bolt action, Mannlicher in-block clip, 5 rounds of 8x56R. We do have the hole in the bottom of the rifle. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say as far as the history. It's finger grooves, which really hasn't been a thing we've talked about, is finger grooves in any of the rifles. Some of them have it, some of them don't. It doesn't seem to be like a feature that's universally accepted across the board here. So, but anyway, I'll go and give myself on this already. I'm a B. I can't make jokes and memes about it. I love the rifle. I like the design, but like, I'm not gonna try to say this is better than it is. It's got a whole kind of problems. We got a rimmed cartridge. We have a single direction clip. We have a huge ass hole in the magazine. We have a magazine that protrudes below the stock, so you have a hard time with sitting it prone. You have the issue of the wrist reinforcement point in the stock, which was put there because they have a lot of problems with this design of the stock breaking right behind the receiver. That's why that reinforcement bolt was put there in that wrist, but they decided for some reason that that would be a great attachment point for the sling. Maybe probably because it was already there. So anyway, I'm not gonna try to meme this into being an S class. I don't think it is. I think it's a solid B. A lot of people will complain about the recoil. I don't think it's personally that big a deal. I have shot German surplus. I've shot Bulgarian surplus. I don't see it as much of as an issue as other people do. Danny will throw a fit about it because he said he didn't like shooting it, but whatever. We'll move on to Taylor. I'm done on my soapbox.
I actually didn't know anything about it. I have no firsthand experience, so I did some obviously internet reading, and I reached out to a few of the Discord members to kind of ask their opinion about it. One person said, and I don't know if this is true or not, maybe Aaron, you could verify this, that you could insert the bolt incorrectly back in the receiver and severely lock it up to where a complete disassembly and elbow grease is required to free it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, another thing that I kind of just dug up, it said that the clip can only go in one way, and that it's close to impossible to load without a full clip.
It is not a. This is a feature that is almost all in-block rifles as well.
Okay.
Is that it is theoretically possible, but it is not something that would happen.
Okay.
You would just dump it and load a new clip.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I don't really know much about this gun, so I'm just kind of going off what I read and what
theoretically
people are
any in-block you can do that. The Berthier, the Carcano, even I don't know about the M1 Garand. I don't know if that's even possible, but theoretically the bolt action rifles you could reload the clip in the rifle, but it would be a gigantic hassle.
Okay. Well, these are just things I'm learning as I'm kind of just going through this. To me, I would kind of say it's low end, and just because I don't think with the other guns that I picked that it kind of can get in the middle of the road category for me.
So you're saying it's a C?
Yeah, C.
Oh, okay. How was your last day on the Discord?
I don't know, Danny. How am I doing?
More salt.
More salt. Well, I mean, we do kind of interject our own personal opinions.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I don't care. I get it every single day from Danny.
Trust me, I'm a Mosin lover. Like you got me on this one. Like I know. So, but that's just like I said, just from what I've been reading, just from what I don't have any personal experience, so maybe it's a little unwarranted. But to me, based on the ranking of all the other guns I have in my list, I would put this as a C.
Fair. I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared.
Okay. I will give you my listing, and I will give you my one reason.
Okay.
It is a D. Here's why.
Here we go.
Woo!
Nope. One reason.
Barely better than a stick is what you're saying.
Slam fire.
Slam fire.
Slam fire-o-matic.
Fuck you.
Fire.
That's it.
That
And
makes
I've
it
done
fun.
I've done it on range. Like,
I've done it twice. I filmed it.
yeah, I know you have. And like when you do it, it's not cool. Like
I don't know. It's pretty awesome.
When there are other people around and you're just like sitting at a bench and wham, it goes off. It's like nope.
Can I just ask, because I don't know anything about this? Can you guys explain what goes on with this?
So
I can.
So I can explain it. I don't know if this was what happened to Jared's gun, but what happened to my gun on multiple occasions. It's the same rifle. It was not multiple rifles. I should say this.
Okay.
The way the design of the action works is as the bolt is pushed forward, it cocks. It's a cock on close. What stops the firing pin, the cocking knob, essentially. What cocks the rifle is a wedge that is attached to the trigger.
Okay.
And if that is worn down, what happened with my rifle is when you push the bolt home, it will grab the cocking piece and cock the rifle by compressing the spring. But when you bolt the rifle fully home and it locks into place, it'll let it go.
Oh, okay.
So you actually have a real accidental discharge.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, it's not an ND, it's a real accidental thing. And like, if you're not ready for it, it is not cool. Like, if you don't know it can happen, because when it happened to me, it was before it's one of the first Milsurps I owned. So it was very wild for me. Like, you close the bolt and the gun goes off.
Yeah.
And it was the last time I shot it.
Mm-hmm.
Was because of that.
It freaks you out.
Yeah.
I will say that.
And now that you know, like, now that I know that, I gotta take it to the range and be totally fine. Absolutely. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Okay.
But the first time it happens,
I will say this, like, that is a flaw in a worn out gun that is not necessarily inherently a part of the action's fault.
Well, you might argue that it is. I'm just kind of listening to both sides. You might argue that it is the action's fault because if the part wears down enough to where it can cause that, then possibly in the designing of it,
But
there
we're talking about actions that are potentially 80 to 90 years old here.
Okay.
We're not talking about something that's 10 years old.
Okay.
say it.
Fair
man.
enough. Fair enough.
But how many other like 100-year-old guns out there slam fire though?
Yeah.
That's true. That's
Mm.
kind of more so what I
And
was getting at.
Even my straight pulls, like my 1889 Swiss rifle, like a fine watch. It runs.
Well, I know that the Winchester shotgun slam fire.
So do the Chinese ones.
Yeah.
Danny, your opinion?
Mm,
Well, I give it a C.
Oh.
okay.
And I don't even feel like I need to explain why.
Yeah, I mean, we've already.
Everyone knows why I give
I
it a
shit
C.
on it. I shit on it already, and I gave it a B.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. What does it do though?
Huh?
What do M95
I'm
do?
not gonna say that.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna say it. Do you want me to
Come
move
on,
on?
say it.
I'm gonna move
The,
on.
tr- the truth will set you free.
I'm not gonna say it.
Say it.
Does Jared know what we're talking about?
I actually don't. I'm sitting here playing free
The
solo.
whole cliche thing about
It's
M95s that everybody says about them.
whenever I post it anywhere, it kicks like a mule.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I heard it at Tulsa last weekend too.
Oh my god.
Everywhere.
That would
It
be
is,
annoying.
it is the fucking saying that has been attached to these damn rifles, and I cannot get away from it.
Yeah,
Is that like the Siamese Mauser in 4570?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the
Another
one
one.
that Danny likes to bring out
But
all the time.
I've seen 2 M95s in person at local shows converted to 4570.
Oh shit.
Now that to me is wild. He told me
Yeah.
about that, and I'm like, I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, I
Picture of one of them.
So like,
I have it somewhere. Yeah.
that's kind of like what?
That's a new limit of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. But because I know the whole Siamese thing and everything and with the air, and I was like, yeah.
Well, the Siamese thing makes sense at least. I've talked to you about this, is because it's a rimmed cartridge and it's a turn bolt, and it's not an in-block clip. Like,
Yeah, you have to get.
I have
4570
no
to fit.
fucking idea how they made an M95 into 4570.
I know,
Like-
and if it was just a one-off thing, I'd be like, oh, somebody experimented and they were dumb. But like, I saw 2, and they were 2 distinct rifles, both in 4570.
So I'm trying to think of like, how did they extract it? Did they not extract it? Was it like a single shot and you like had to knock the brass out? What the fuck? I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, and I was like, what is that?
A new
Yeah, I know.
collecting niche.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
All right,
So that one might be our lowest scoring one yet.
might be, but we have some more in this list that might go worse. All right, moving on. We have 3 left. Let's get on to this and get over this because we're almost at 3 hours. It's gonna be our longest podcast. Yes, we probably should have done 10 rifles, Danny.
Or
thorough.
split this. Like,
Whatever. The number 3 on our list of most mass-produced, the number 4 Mark I Lee-Enfield at production numbers. We have a. Is this a semi-pistol grip or is this a bump?
I don't think it's a semi-pistol grip. I think it's a bump.
Yeah,
like it has that little piece at the back.
It's
that,
not really a semi-pistol grip.
No.
Like it's got a lip on it, but it's not really a semi-pistol grip. All right, we have an aperture sight, bonus, plus sight. We have a heavy barrel for accuracy, because apparently that's what it means. I don't know these things. 303 British. We have 10-round magazine, double the capacity of most of the other ones on this list. Turn down bolt. Very fast cock on close action. It's the springs are so good it almost cycles itself. Anyway, sorry, I'm very tired and this is gonna just be starting to become memes at the end here, guys.
I dig it.
I think we can just go straight into grading it.
Yeah,
I think
I'll
everyone
go.
knows
Yeah.
the words.
I'm gonna give it a C. I don't like it. I had one. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I tried to get two different fucking magazines to work. Never could get them to feed. I tried all kinds of different things, and never worked.
Did you try bending the lips just
shut up.
So?
Just shut up. I couldn't hit shit with it. I don't know why. And it's not like, oh, you just don't know how to shoot an aperture sight. I had an L1A1 with an aperture sight, and it was fucking awesome. It was great. And I shot the shit out of that, and it was super accurate. So I don't know what the fuck was wrong with my and my number 4. Maybe it was just a really bad one, and I just had a lemon, essentially. But it has colored my view of them to be they are dog shit. So I didn't give it a D. I gave it a C because it while it did have issues feeding, it never had a problem shooting. So I will give it credit for that. Anyway, moving on. Jared, let's go to you.
I actually don't have a number 4. I have a number 1, but it's a rimmed round. I don't like rimmed rounds.
Oh, I forgot. It's also rear locking lugs because we're going off a design from the late 1800s here again.
There's 2 different kinds of number 4s, and you can have ones with a fixed trigger, which is attached to the receiver assembly.
Is that the star?
No, that's the number 2, the Mark II he's talking about. We're just doing Mark I's here because the Mark II is after 1945.
Okay, right. Which is the trigger that is hanging in the trigger housing thing. Like it's not attached to the receiver or to anything.
Trigger. What is that thing? Yeah, it's guard. Like the trigger guard.
It's trigger guard. It's actually attached to the trigger guard, which like that's just weird and dumb, and I don't understand it. And I don't like it. It's a decent rifle. It's just I don't like rimmed rounds, and I don't like that kind of a trigger. So
yeah. What everyone says with the trigger is that it, like with the wood warping, it can influence the trigger, and it was a real problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't have changed it, with the Mark II.
Right.
But yeah, so, for this, we're ending at 1945, so we're just talking about the Mark I,
which has the goofy trigger. So I do not like that. That's
what did you give it then?
I actually went B.
B. Okay.
Yeah. I have a nice little fun wrap up when we're all done because everyone can pick this out. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danny, you go next.
I gave it a B as well. Middle of the road.
Good rifle.
Because it's a good rifle. It's solid. It doesn't have like the magazine is the biggest problem. I've had a few, like a handful of number 4s. And they've all have had feeding issues. Even the one I have now, I have a Canadian one, and I really like it. But it has feeding issues, and it's a beautiful gun. And I really love SMLEs. Like my Lithgow SMLE has been like a pretty reliable gun, like more so than this one and the other number 4s. I don't know why they've always been really finicky and shooting actual like surplus ammo too, not just like commercial stuff. And I'm loading my clips right and everything, and I'm saying God save the Queen while I shoot. I'm doing everything right, and I still have issues with the number 4. So, but other than that, other than not feeding, like other than than jamming, I guess it's a good rifle on paper because it's got good sights. I really like the sights on that. I think it's a pretty decent. It's got like a big
Double
rear
the
aperture
capacity.
sight.
On paper.
And on paper it doubles the capacity, but if that double capacity magazine doesn't feed properly, then it has issues. But you have to get it right. But everybody like tweaks them. Like if everybody that has a number 4 that shoots well, like you either got really lucky or you've had to do stuff to it and you've had to tweak it and do this and that or whatever. And it's the whole infield thing. You have to get your clips and everybody that shoots them and like using the stripper clips. The stripper clip loading is slow, and if it's not slow, it's because you've been using a clip for a long time and it's kind of like it's not as strong, or you've done something like sanded it using emery cloth or something like that on the inside to help it be smooth. Because even with everyone, and then the excuse people use is that the Italian clips are bad. The Italian chargers are bad, and that's why. And it's like, well, I've used actual British, including the older style, like the World War I style chargers, and they're rough and slower loading. And I kind of wish I could give this a higher rating because I like it. Like I want to like the Enfields. I went through an Enfield craze when I was younger, and
if I'm gonna
so
go on looks, I would prefer an SMLE.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did Sam say about the SMLE?
It's the prettiest Milsurp ever.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, they're very handsome, but I prefer SMLEs over the number 4s. The number 4s were just a gun like to be cheap. They needed it was a stopgap sort of gun. They needed to make them fast, and they couldn't make the SMLEs fast and cheap enough. Because that's how sort of dire straits the British Empire was in. In the 1940s.
They lost them all at Dunkirk, man.
Yep. They lost a ton of guns at Dunkirk. So they needed to make them.
All right, Taylor.
I used to have a number 4 Mark 1 no scope sniper. It had the cheek rest on the stock. So I've shot it a little bit. I don't have the gun anymore, but I never fell in love with the Enfield. I have another Enfield. I have a number 1 Mark 3 Ishapur wire wrap, but I'm going to give this honestly a low end, and here's why. I've always had issues, and this just might have been my gun, but the stock it's separate from the rest of the stock, and the butt stock would just get loose, and you couldn't tighten it too much because they say like, oh, if you tighten it too much, it'll crack or whatever. So like you had to do it just enough to keep it. I don't know. It was just kind of a pain in the neck to work on. I just find that the rear sight it's a great target sight. It was just kind of too much. Like you had like this micrometer adjustment, and if you're I didn't care for it much, just me personally, the way I shoot. 303 is good. It's a good round. The whole rim thing, like, it doesn't really matter. I like the fact that it has 10 rounds in the mag versus 5. That's great. Magazines are an issue. Mine fed, luckily, I had to get a replacement mag for it. I actually found a brand new in the wrap Savage marked number 4 Mark 1 magazine. So I got lucky.
Oh, it was only $300?
No, fucking believe it or not, this was my Danny find. The one time I had a Danny moment, I was at Sarco in Easton, Pennsylvania, and I saw that they had it. It was $50. I'm like, well, shit, I need it. I have the gun. I'm never going to find another one. I brought it up to the counter, and at this place, they handwrite all like the receipt, so they write down what you buy. He wrote $5 on the bill, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I bought a bunch of other stuff, so it's not like that's the only thing. I left with that in the grease wrap, $5. And that was my Danny moment. I wanted to find a Savage one specifically because, the stock, it was a Savage gun, and, it was the number no scope sniper, whatever, it was the better one, whatever. But I don't even know if it was genuine, but that's a whole issue. I just got it because it was interesting. But to me, it was just kind of a pain in the neck to work on. It didn't really do much for me. So this is a C for me.
To me, it seems like the Enfields are always the rifle that collects excuses.
I think that's Mosin's, but
we're getting there.
Yeah,
it's interesting to me. We've got 4 different people here. We've got over 4 different guns, and everybody has agreed. I'm most harsh on it, but everybody has agreed at least finicky.
Yeah, finicky's a good word.
Yeah.
Very good word.
Yeah, I think it's because something like the SMLE was designed and it had years and years and years and decades of peacetime and everything to get tweaked, because it is kind of a finicky action and everything. But if you take years to kind of like perfect it or like tweak it enough where it runs fine, like that's one thing. But then in the middle of a war, when you're designing something and mass producing it, it's like it's gonna have issues. Like that's just something that happens. And then with a design that's inherently finicky, like I think it just kind of leads to issues.
All right, we'll move on to the number 2, the Mauser K98K.
Backbone of the Wehrmacht.
So we have a semi-pistol grip. We have a turn-down bolt handle. We have slide slung. We have unprotected front sight.
You can
Depends.
Yeah. Oh, it depends on the manufacturer or depends on the year?
Well, both.
Oh, you guys gotta fucking go nuts with me on this. We have a tangent rear sight. It is an 8mm Mauser. I can't really think of anything else here.
It's pretty. I think everybody kind of
everyone knows.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the stuff. We'll just go with Jared first because obviously he's going to give this an S.
Yeah, it's a Mauser.
Yeah, there we go.
It's the backbone of the Wehrmacht.
Is that it? All right, moving on.
I mean, honestly,
Taylor.
I mean, I'm going to give this an S just because I feel like I have to. I can't really find fault with it. I really wanted to give the Arisaka an S, but the K98, I just feel like I have to give it an S, so it's an S for me.
Danny.
It's the gun that I want to give an S to, but I feel like it deserves an A.
Oh
shit.
We're gonna unfriend you. I'm
I don't care.
No, that's fine.
You're gonna love my answer.
Because let's see, minor flaws with the K98K. You know, this kind of goes back to when we talked about the the 1903. You guys said you loved like 30-06. Like I don't necessarily like 8mm Mauser, and
Thank you for saying that.
Because 30-06 is just basically like 8mm long, you know.
Yeah.
I know it's a slightly different diameter and stuff, but you know it's based on it. I think 8mm is a little bit overkill by the 40s in a rifle.
In a short rifle.
Yeah, in a short rifle. And you know there's issues with you know ammunition loadings with it. You know with the older like Turk ammo with the loaded to the old
stock, right?
loaded to the old S Patron loading, or with the modern SS loading. It's
just so everybody is aware, and so Sam knows, is that Turk ammo will crack your stock.
Yeah, hope
just so he can get so mad about this.
Yeah,
it will not, but anyway, or it probably won't. I don't fucking know. It's a surplus ammo, guys.
Yeah, it can. I mean,
anything can.
Yeah, that's
true.
You could shoot 303 that's made in Pakistan in the 30s. That it can too.
I love K98Ks, and I always have, and they're great. And I've carried one around a lot. Reenactments or just around like the house outside, and I've shot stuff with a K98K like a rattlesnake.
Danny's that guy in the neighborhood.
So I love it, but I don't know. Like I don't know if it's fair to give it an S. You know, like there's things that could be better, like the caliber change. Like there's a couple countries that ordered K98Ks. Like I think Tibet, and they ordered them in 7mm. They're like standard models sort of, but they're like
standards, yeah.
And the K98K guys sort of, so they're not quite. I don't know. I feel like it's a weird. I can't exactly say why it does not deserve an S, but I feel like I need to give it an A. It's like it's great, but I don't know.
Super Uber Platinum tier is actually the 937 because it has different front and rear sights and different wing protectors, and it's actually like it looks like a K98K, and it's just it's so much better. Like
that's a good point.
The two things that actually kind of suck, which is the front sight protector and the sights, are fixed in the 937, and it is awesome.
Yes.
And it's side and underslung. Like it's everything.
You saying that kind of reminded me.
But that's not on this list. So.
I know it's not because I wasn't consulted in the making of this list.
So you saying that, Jared, about the 937 did kind of remind me that one of the things I don't like about the K98K is the sight or the front sight protector. Like the early ones kind of didn't have one. You had to take it off before you could shoot. And then later they had the little clamp-on ones, which can come off and stuff like that. Some say like German soldiers took them off because there's wartime like images and stuff of like guns without them on there.
It's kind of personal preference. I leave mine on, but just
definitely personal preference thing. But the slings on K98Ks, I don't like the keeper method on them, the way that it's held on. Because it's kind of like right there in your hand, like when you're right-handed holding the stock, the little keeper thing comes through and you're kind of gripping it, and it's kind of like, why is that there? And if it's a little loose and sticking out too far, you get like an awkward handhold, and so that's another sort of downside of the.
That's why you would like the 937 because it has the Brazilian quick connect or the old quick connect styles. See.
Yep.
So it is honestly, it's the best version of it.
I think you're right.
All right, I'm gonna give it a B. I think it's overhyped. I don't like 8mm in a rifle like this. And people are like, oh, but you gave the Vergero. I gave the Vergero the same fucking grade, guys. A B. So I don't like 8mm in a rifle necessarily like this.
I wrote, you put an A for the Vergero.
No. I have it down here as a B.
Do you hear that, guys? It sounds like pedaling backwards.
No, I have it written down on my sheet. I can show it to you.
I wrote down on here that you said A.
I did not. I would not consider the Vergero an A for sure. Anyway, I don't like turn down bolts, and I don't like 8mm Mauser. Yeah, that's about it. I just think it's overhyped. I think that for the rifle that we're talking about here with 14.6 million produced, I don't understand the nearly $2,000 price tag on average.
Well, that is something I disagree with.
Yeah.
I don't get it too. I'm just saying I disagree with the price tag. Like,
me too.
It's just collector's hype.
That's
everyone
why
does,
I think the hype is too high, and I think that hype is saturated into it's like the cream of the crop best gun ever, and I just don't agree.
I don't think it's the best gun ever per se, but I just think that it's a great design. It's very well made. There's not really any major flaws that I could find with it, so I think it's better than a lot of the other guns. Well, pretty much all the other guns in this list, in my opinion, just from a get out there and fight kind of standpoint. I don't get the fact that a 14 million or however many millions guns were produced, why they're $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. Like that to me just blows my mind. I get it. It's, the German collectability, whatever. But to me, it's just like they're a common gun. Yeah, there's rare variations.
I'll put it into perspective. My Lee Navy, I bought for $2,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a Lee Navy.
Yeah, and it's a lot less of those on the market than there are K98Ks. It's kind of weird because they made so many of them, and there's a lot of them in the United States. But people straight up just hoard those things.
Oh, I know.
Like you just want more and more and more of them, and it's like this weird thing.
And honestly, when I learned how many of them they were made, and not like recently, it was a while ago, I didn't realize that. Because I'm like, oh man, it's a German rifle. These, they didn't make as many as, there weren't a billion of them made. There was a shitload made. Yeah. Like when I learned that, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Why are these things $1,000? Like that. I couldn't correlate it.
Danny and I just had this discussion beforehand too. We were like a Vergero is 100,000 made versus the K98, which is 14.6 million. The Vergeros are $400, $500.
Yeah.
And they're the same caliber. And they're basically, for all things consider without. They're not German, is what it is.
No.
They did not march down the Champs-Elysees.
Yeah.
I think
mean,
anything associated with the bad guys too has that collectability.
Shit.
You know, like for example, like Lemmy from Motorhead, when they asked him, "Why do you collect Nazi stuff?" and he's like, "Well, they had the cooler uniforms." It kind of just gets into like some people like want the bad guy stuff. They want that, and I mean, I like AKs, so I like some of the quote bad guy stuff too. But you know, I never understood expensive. I didn't make my decision based on price because I don't.
Oh,
for
I
this,
didn't either. I was just making that as a point of
you were just venting.
it's too hyped. Is my point
Oh.
is that it's way overhyped, and I feel like it is. Middle of the road I think is a harsh maybe, but I would say probably like you said before, like a B plus.
Yeah, it's somewhere in
Like,
between. I just think
it's
maybe
right there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, that's fair.
we'll move on. Did we give everybody on that one?
Yeah. Oh, Taylor, what did you say in the number 4? What was your ranking?
In number 4, I believe I put a C. I put a C for
Okay.
that one.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to our final, the second most mass-produced rifle in history, the Mosin Nagant. And we'll go with the M9130, obviously. We have just all of the modern features you can expect from 1891. We have a tangent rear sight, which is actually surprising. A straight stock, underslung only, a magazine that protrudes underneath because it's a single stack rimmed cartridge 7.62x54R, Carcano open with just the best primary extraction possible. We do have a front sight protector. It is actually fully enclosed, and it is a post versus a blade, like most of our other ones on this. And it is, I think, the longest in our list.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is not a short rifle. It is shorter than the M91, but it is not a short rifle. So we'll go with Taylor first because he says he's a Mosin guy.
I like Mosins, and I'll give my rating first. It's a C in my opinion, low end. I don't think it's bottom of the barrel, barely better than a stick, because in my opinion, like bayonet would be barely better than a stick. You know, something that can't fire a projectile. It's low end for me. Obviously, we kind of went over a lot.
Rimlock, cough.
Yeah, rimlock. I mean, yeah, you could. I shoot a lot of Mosins. Honestly, I haven't had rimlock. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I think in my collection I have like 7 or 8 Mosin variations, and I haven't had rimlock. So you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky. But you know, obviously, technical design aspects of it. You know, everything primary extraction, loose tolerances, overcomplicated bolt, designed from 1891 that just wouldn't die. You know, I kind of look at it also. Just a funny note on the Wikipedia page. I just pulled it up quick just to have this in front of me. They added under the in service used by wars, they put the Russo-Ukrainian War because they're still being used.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of it's the Ukrainian separatist volunteers are using.
Yeah, for the PU, the PU ones, the sniper, quote unquote sniper variant. You know, everyone knows what a Mosin is. I just like it mainly because of its historical context. As you can see, just it's been used everywhere by everyone through everything. I just find that incredibly interesting. But on I guess actually looking at the rifle, to me, it's low end. But you know, I still love it.
Nah, I'll go next. I'll just get myself out of the way here. I think this is my D. This is a stick. I mean, it's barely better than a stick, I should say. This is my D. I gave the M39 a C. I can't give this a C. So I think this is a turd. I have had M9130, 1943 Tula, and I had a Type 53, which is the Chinese copy of the M44. And actually, the Type 53 shot better. I had less issues with it. And Yeah, I was it. I won't lie. I was in the camp of at one point of, oh, it's tough, it's rugged. You gotta beat it open with a hammer, like. And then I was like, after a while, I was like, why don't I need my other guns I have to do this with? Like, maybe this isn't a good thing.
No,
And
it's not.
it's like, oh, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I don't have my M9530 anymore or the Type 53. So those bought more M95s, which were
Nice.
obviously a much better investment in terms of quality. I'm joking, guys, obviously. But I will say this is the lowest rank I could give item on the list here. I didn't even give an S out to anybody, and I wanted to give one for the Type 99, but this is my only D. It gets the big fat D right up the buttstock.
Hey.
I'm getting tired. We've been at this over 3 hours now.
That's
Jared,
good. We've owed people a podcast, so a nice long one would be good.
Jared, you're next, sir.
I'm going C.
All right.
Honestly, and the other reason I'm going C is because it does work. Like, and I have 3 of them. One of them's Finnish, so like it's not that I don't have one. You know what I mean? They do okay. They shoot okay. They're usually minute of man at 100 yards.
Yeah.
But they're just I don't know.
What did you give the Carcano?
C for Carcano.
Okay, that's right. I mean, I can't argue with you on that. If you had given the Carcano a better ranking, maybe I could have argued with you on that. But like, yeah, I can't argue against it.
I would rather have a Carcano though.
Okay.
So, like of the 2 C's that I gave, I would rather have the Carcano.
Are those the only C's you gave? No, you gave.
No, I got those are my only C's.
I thought you gave the M9530 a C.
No, I gave it a D because it slam fires.
Oh, that's right.
I had ADs on range. Like no.
That's your one rifle. Anyway, it's opinions.
And that was
it's opinions. It's opinions. Yeah. I gave the Lee-Enfield a C because I hated mine. I know it's opinions.
That's, my only reason is because of I had ADs on range. Like,
gotcha. Fair enough. I gotta keep reminding myself of this. It's opinions. I can't just get super defensive.
Yeah, it's not an attack. It's actually for a reason.
Okay.
And yeah, same thing with the 9130. Like, it's the only if my 9130 gave me accidental discharges on range, it would be down there too. Like no questions asked. You know what I mean?
Danny, your opinion, sir?
You know, I want to give it a D, but I don't know if it deserves it. I think maybe it's only Taylor or I haven't given any gun a D. But yeah, just a C, I guess.
I mean, you could say a C minus.
Yeah, C minus. I mean,
we said
it's still
B plus on some of this.
Yeah, I guess for what it's worth, yeah, like C minus, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of a gun like a worse Milsurp. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Like one that has more flaws overall.
Yeah, something that was like made during World War II.
I guess
that
you could
wasn't
argue
like a last ditch or whatever.
I guess you could argue.
I mean, I'd take a last ditch 99 over an M9130.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, I guess you could argue it does have a sealed magazine, so anything Mannlicher style with an M-block would be worse.
Mm-hmm.
But but those tend to have better bolts than the Mosin, so like cancels it out.
The magazine is like the best part of the Mosin. Just a side note.
Well, no, it sticks below the gun, so it's actually not good either because it's single stack.
And
it's single stack. It's easily removable, so you can get in there and clean.
There's like 6 leaf springs in it, though.
But that's all just one unit. You compress that, and then it just unclips from the magazine housing.
Yeah, but if one of the 6 springs breaks, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if a spring breaks on any of the other ones, you're probably not doing super hot either.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
And they're pretty much interchangeable. I don't know how. Like, I mean, you could just swap them all day long. I don't know. How other clip, M block clip kind of systems work, but this is just swap.
Well, and I will say, I did attempt multiple different ways of trying to stripper clip feed a Mosin, and I never got it right.
It depends on the clip too. I
And
found.
see, this is like the Lee-Enfield thing all over again.
Yeah, I have older clips, like older actual like surplus Russian ones that work great. True Chinese ones, not like the repros, work really good. Believe it or not. But the modern reproduction ones now they're for shit. Don't even. But a lot of time I just single load it just because it's easier. But the original Chinese ones and the original Russian ones work great.
Don't
for me.
tell Danny you single load a rifle that has clips.
Oh,
Oh, he gives me shit all the time about it.
Triggered.
I just thumb them in there. I got pretty good with getting it in there because sometimes with the Mosin you got to get it in there
That's
just
what she
right.
said.
Well, there you go. I don't know. I have, like I said, I have like 7 or 8 of them, and I shoot them a lot. Like that's probably the gun that I shoot the most. So I don't know. I'm just very comfortable with it. I can just kind of.
I agree. I did take I bought 2 spam cans. My N9130 I bought. It was probably my second or third rifle I bought. I bought it for $200, and it came with a spam can of ammo.
Nice.
But this is
Nice.
like 2013.
I mean,
10 years ago ish. So,
I have everything from like I have a Finned M91 all the way up to like a Romanian M44 with like a couple of fins in there too. So like I have a good variety of like country manufacturers, time periods, you know what I mean? So like that's why I said like I can't say it's bottom of the barrel just because I've shot a good bit of them and I've never had a lot of the issues of rim lock that people.
Do you know the one that I think that I would like to have tried that I actually have held in my hands is a Polish M44.
Ooh, they are really nice, very high quality.
When I held that, I was like, this looks fucking fake.
Often unissued too. Like you find them in amazing shape.
That's what I found. It was at a guy's house. I went to a guy's house. He was moving, and he's like, "I'm selling some Milsurps," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come look at it." And he sends out and pulls out this M44, and I'm like, "This looks too good."
Yeah, they weren't really used. They were made in just like in the 60s, I think, or something like that.
It's like
and
they were made and stored, and it looks fake. Like my brain went like, "This is something wrong."
My Romanian looks like that. It's got like a blonde stock, deep blue wood. It practically unissued. So yeah, you could find them from shit condition all the way up to just unused. It's great.
Anyway,
so I added up.
Yeah, I'm singing the praises of Mosin.
I added up our listings, and I have our rankings here.
Yes, give it out.
So an S is 5 and a D is 1. So that's the scale that I used. So the Brazilian, it got the highest. It got a 19 out of possible 20.
Ooh.
1903A3 and the K98K both tied at 17. Followed by the Type 99 at 16. Swedish M38 got 15. K31 got 15. Vergero and Moss 36 both got 14. Peruvian 1935 got a 13. Finnish M39 got a 10. 35M got a 10. Carcano got a 10. Number 4 got a 10. 9538 and 9137. So there you go.
If you're keeping track at home, for me, it was so I got this sent to me. I thought that they had already done this podcast because I was away last weekend. So I got it this afternoon when I was working at on frac pumps. So I didn't get to like look at this until I got home. So I had to cram for the exam. So I did Mauser's is S, rimless is A, rimmed is B.
God damn.
That's serious. Rimmed is B, and then I did Carcano and 9130 is C because they kind of suck, but they're okay. And then just to mess with Aaron, I put the 9530 at the bottom.
No, so according to your list, Danny, we rated the 9530 as the second worst.
Yes.
Awesome.
The second worst, just barely above.
Just barely above the M9130. You know what?
Ooh.
I'll take that W, sir.
Yeah.
That's a W in my book.
8 over a 7. Only.
You know what?
Unless I decide to change my mind and make it a D instead of a C.
So what else? So what? It matches it?
Then it would tie. If I would have done a D.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, I was excited to tell everyone that because I thought it was funny.
That's good. Yeah.
I went off of like ammo. Like that's
You can do whatever you want. It's its opinion. It's a tier list. You don't do whatever you want.
Ammo is an important factor.
guns don't go without food.
Yep.
Like,
You know what, Danny? The reason why we lost. So fair play to everybody. We originally did not have the K31 on the list because we forgot about it. And the reason I forgot about it is we originally weren't going to do 1930 to 1945. We just had guns we picked out, and the K31 was on that list. But when we switched it to narrow the range, I just totally forgot it existed.
Yeah, it's funny. It was on the original one, and then we excluded a bunch of. Last minute, we took off the Type I for the 31, and
which I think was the
there's
right
a bunch
move.
of other ones.
It was a good move. Yeah, the Type I was kind of like.
So we'll see if people liked this one, because if they like this one, maybe we'll do it. We'll probably have to narrow it down to 10. 15 is a little.
Yeah.
I think we went a little too far on this.
Let's start earlier too.
Yeah, well.
That's schedule constraints, though. That's not.
Yeah, I got kids.
That's life.
People got to work.
Yep.
Yeah, that's life.
Well, that's our tier list and our shit takes. Everybody
everyone
can get all kinds of mad about everything we talked about, and although I didn't think we had too many.
Who's going to be the angriest, though?
I don't think we had too many hot takes. I mean.
I think people are going to be disappointed that the M39 isn't up in like the top echelon.
Yeah, I think
when they hear our discussion, they'll see why.
It's the Finn collectors that are going to be the most angry. I already knew that.
I am a Finn collector. I'm not angry. I get it.
Yeah,
I ranked it as a B. I collected some bitches.
Yeah, I don't think that. What was our number one, Danny?
The Brazilian
1935.
That
was on there just for Danny. We all know that.
It's on there because it's his favorite. He thinks it's the best gun ever, like in terms of features.
Until I find something else that's like that usurps it, because I thought it was the Chilean 1935, and then I got the
then you got the Brazilian wax,
and no stubble, smooth. Yeah, so
what? Anyway, we could have included, and we did not. We could have there's like the Spanish 1943, but like, there's only so many times you can go, it's a Mauser.
Yeah.
I was having fun with that. I was having more fun with that than I probably should have.
There was 3 Mauser actions on here if you don't count the 1903 and the Type 99. Like 3 actual Mauser design actions. And, I mean, the Vergero is called a Mauser, but it's not, so Mauser was probably the most common in terms of action on the list, and I know people are going to get mad at you, Danny, and me too, because we're Mauser biased, even though I collect M95, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it was very prevalent. It was very prevalent during the war.
It's not like it was a common fucking design that was really well made. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, no.
It's not like nobody else used the Lee-Enfield except the UK. What?
And the Commonwealth. I would say Commonwealth.
Well, Commonwealth, excuse me.
The
UK and their subjects that they made use.
Yeah, their subjects that they made use. And that the Canadians were like, hey, can we make a Ross rifle? And like, fuck you.
I will say, though, you guys, in doing this, have turned me more onto Mausers, especially like...
Welcome to the club.
Well, yeah, so like, I was looking at the Brazilian Mausers, and I'm just like, I want one of these. And
good luck finding one.
I know, and then I went online, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm just gonna stick to my com block stuff. And
I'm gonna tell you what, though, and I will say this as an M95 lover, the South American Mausers have a quality level that is
I know.
is so much higher than anything, especially if you get a pre-World War I South American Mauser. That quality level is just insanely high.
And that's what kind of sold me on it, honestly.
Yeah. I had a Peruvian 1909. I had a Argentine 1891. What else? I have a Chilean 1895. Like, the quality level on these is so high that I don't know why. I think it's just the South American bias kind of thing in the U.S. is that it kind of suppresses the price, and they're not in, like, 7.65 is not a common caliber. 7mm is kind of a common caliber, but 7.65 certainly isn't.
Yeah,
But-
they weren't in a European war, so American
Mhm.
collectors tend to not care.
They speak
Yeah.
a language that doesn't really mesh with any of else. Like,
Well,
it's,
see, but that's also weird too, because like, except until recently, the 1917 was like not super well regarded or thought about as much. I've noticed, and now it's suddenly become more popular.
very true.
In
And-
my opinion,
and,
that's just because people finally they're finding things that haven't been collected so much yet, and then they're going after that.
Or
It's
the
kinda like-
P14.
Yeah.
I think the P14 is actually pretty. We should do a tier list with the P14 and the SMLE side by side.
Oh boy.
There you go.
14.
I don't think I've ever. I don't know if I've held a 1917. Holy shit, is that heavy?
Mine is
Yeah.
awesome. I love mine.
It's long and heavy.
Right.
It's got a pot belly mag. It's thick and tall and
It's a
bulky and
thick, big boy.
I can shoot that sumbitch, though.
Nice.
All right. Anyway, we're kind of rambling, and we've already rambled enough here, so we're at 3.5 hour mark. Thank you, Jared and Danny and Taylor, for coming and participating in our tier list. That was our first attempt at doing something like this. Hopefully, it goes over pretty well with everybody. I think it went pretty well here, though.
if you like it, you need to tell us so that
Yes.
we know,
Yeah.
because we cannot read your mind.
If you want us to continue doing something like this, or just go off and do some weird shit. I don't know. This is weird shit too, I guess.
If you want to tell Aaron that M95 suck,
Which one? M95.
just all of them.
The
Woo!
Dutch ones.
They all the Mannlichers.
The Dutch ones. The
Ferdinand's
Chilean Mausers.
Ferdinand's a one-trick pony. He never
The
did. He
Chilean
never did
Mausers, Danny?
anything. He never did anything interesting or unique.
Oh, the Lee Navy. That's also 1895. It was a banner year for shit to get confusing.
I meant you didn't hear the silent period between the M and the 9. M.95.
You know, somebody asked me if I was going to collect the Dutch Mannlichers, and I said I'm not insane.
Yep. I mean, you do collect M95, so
The Dutch Mannlichers, though, that's a whole nother level of like nuance.
true.
There's a lot of them Dutch boys. Yeah.
But after you drive up M95 prices, then you can switch over to Dutches.
I've already been told this. I forgot. I've achieved gun collector level of being accused of hoarding and driving up the prices of guns. So I have achieved a new level. Thank you very much, everybody.
There you go.
All right. Well, Jared, Danny, thank you for coming on as usual. Danny, you're supposed to be here. And Taylor, thank you for coming on and being and Jared, I don't know, are you a Patreon member or are you just here?
I am.
Oh, okay. Thank you for both being a Patreon member. And you can check out Milsurp World on Facebook, on Instagram, Danny does have suddenly started doing it on Reddit. And listen to our
Slash
podcast.
Milsurp.
Anyway, do listen to our podcast. Listen to the podcast. Listen to me. Check out the YouTube channel, Milsurp World, and buy a shirt. I don't know what else to say. Anybody else have anything else? Oh, check out Taylor's podcast, New York Gun Guys.
Yeah, NY Gun Guys.
NY Gun Guys, excuse me.
No, it's great. Thanks.
And give him a shout out that you came from us.
Woo!
Does anybody have anything else?
I just want to say thanks for having me on. I had a great time.
All right. It's already 1:30 for him.
Yep. I'm
yes,
a trooper,
it
man.
is.
All
I've been
right.
waiting for this.
Me too.
Jared, I don't care about you.
I know you don't.
You rated my shit low.
You rated my shit low.
Did I? Oh, I did.
Mauser.
What, the Mauser? No, I didn't make
Every-
the Mauser.
Everyone. All right.
In middle of the road. Middle of the road.
We could probably do this one again, like the same time period with just different guns,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
because there's more.
Anyway, thank you all for coming, and have a good night.